Need to mute my mic. There we are. Flat Earth British, Martin speaking. Welcome to Saturday night. I called this show basically the Dick Earth Show. Basically, because I'm not open to any speculation of what could be and what might be out there. We don't really know, but I'm quite loving the adventure that's somebody just talked to me. I'll stop that now. The adventure of trying to find out. I've got some good guests with me tonight, guys. Right there, that water bubble, and that's Zoe Streiber, otherwise known as Bijou Now and Love, but she's gone out and walked her lovely dogs. You all know Spec who tickles, Spectacles. Hi, Spec, brother.
Hey, Martin, man, how's it going?
Oh, it's going awesome. All the better for you guys coming along.
Yeah,
you all know. Oh, no worries. Thanks, mate. You all know Mr. Oakley, Nathan Oakley. How are you today, Nathan?
Good, very well. Thanks, Martin. Not too bad.
Oh, good to see you. Good to see you, brother. And next to Nathan, you might see a little compass there. I'm sure you all recognise that. That would be our Paula Knowledge Scavenger. And how are you tonight, Paula? Lovely?
Good, thank you.
Oh, it's good to see you. Thanks for coming. And the crazy little orange monster creature, the Ziki, I'm intrigued to know if she actually built that to carry that tangerine across the table on her advert. Hi, Ziki.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. Nice.
And there'll be people popping back and forth as the hangout progresses, guys. Okay. Thanks for everybody coming in chat. And at the end there, the Azimuth for Aquadistant Gleasons is Brian Verville. Is that pronounced correctly, Brian?
You got that right.
Oh, excellent. Thanks for coming, Brian. I've not really met Brian before, but I'm sure we'll get acquainted now shortly. So let's just carry on where we took off, guys. We've been having a little chat here about everything flat and otherwise. So there's quite a bit happening out there in the arena. Have any of you seen the big news of FE Conference 2017, putting us out there into the international arena of conferences? Oh, yay. Have you seen this, guys?
No, I haven't heard of it.
Yes.
Lay it on us, man.
Yeah, Mark Sargent tonight and Robbie from Celebrate the Truth posted tonight. In Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm not sure of the date, actually, sometime next month. And it'd be like all the flat earthers, guest speakers. Some I don't, but it'd be like Rob Skiba, Jeronism, Bob Nogle, Morgile, Patricia, a few others. Some I don't know, but it should be pretty cool. Excellent conference, that'll be. Man, imagine. I hope it's televised or YouTubeized. Probably won't be, actually, will it? So later. Well, everyone,
They would do some live hangouts.
what do you think so? I was hoping so. Maybe if we could interact, internationally, maybe.
Well, but by then, the popular YouTubers, the ones with 10,000 plus subs, will be able to live stream from their phones on YouTube. So they've just introduced this. I think it will roll out for the rest of the YouTubers sometime afterwards. But initially, if you've got 10,000 subs or more, which isn't me, yeah, you can live stream on YouTube from your phone.
Oh, I never knew. But you've got to have 10,000 subs somewhere. I wonder why that is. Probably so they give you...
Popular ones. Popular.
Yeah. Might be worthwhile for them, I suppose. Very intriguing. There's been lots happening. I've seen a video earlier. Well, actually, somebody dropped a message in my comment section of a well-known YouTuber who put a video out. They've never got no traction, only 128 views, about the Google Goon Balloon. Are you aware of this, Nathan?
The Google
Goon.
the balloons that are potentially satellites. Yeah, I've heard of them.
Yeah, they do this interview where Google are actually admitting that they can't get any coverage, and when they put these balloons out there, all the world will have coverage. Yet they say there's 22,000 satellites up there. Isn't that incredible? All them satellites flying around. no cameras on them, giving us real-time images. Isn't it weird? There's nothing up there. It's just not. He just admitted it. Balloons.
Yeah, all ground-based.
Have you seen the Apple building as well, Nathan? Have you seen that? I've seen it today for the first time. The circle. It's like a giant UFO. Have you seen it? It's just been completed. There's a film with Emma Watson called The Circle. It's just been released. And she's a girl who works in like a Google type place. And basically she gets in a circle where they're spying on a social media, social network. Nothing goes outside the building. She has no secrets. Everything is watched. It's with Tom Hanks. It's called The Circle. I have the novel, and now I got to read it. And it's based on this new circle that Apple have built, which is really sinister. Windows you can see out of, but I can't see in. There's plenty of secrets, eh? Very sinister. Very sinister. Yeah. So, what's everyone been up to? Brian Laverne, introduce yourself. Tell us a bit about yourself. How long have you been a flat earther? Where are you from? Anything?
Well, I'm from Michigan. I live back and forth here in Vegas. I play poker for a living mostly.
Really?
Other than that, I've been doing. My dad got sick about 2 years ago. That was right around the same time that I really was convinced that flat Earth was real. And from that point, I was able to take care of him and run a couple shows here and there. I was on Fire Talk, Pal Talk, ICQ, Blab. And then I finally landed over here on Hangouts, and this is where I've been ever since.
Right, that was 6 months back, was it?
That was 2 years. 2 years ago,
Yeah.
and started. I started it right around a year ago. Flat Earth and other shit on Hangouts, but before that, I was running it on those other platforms.
Right, I'm not familiar with those platforms. Where you talk about flat Earth on these platforms?
Oh yeah.
Right. I've missed out. I don't go in any forums anyway, I got to be honest.
There's a lot more of us than you guys think. Really, there's a lot.
Really? Interesting. I stay out of them. I don't think they'd like me anyway, if I'm honest. Yeah, there's plenty of things coming up, guys. We got this conference coming up. We're going to have a little UK meet actually in a couple of weeks, hopefully. Not this Saturday, the Saturday after, which will be, what is it, Nathan? The 24th?
25th, I think it is. I'll just double check that.
I've got my calendar, yeah. Oh, did it come up?
Yeah, 25th,
Yeah.
Saturday the 25th.
25th, in Leicester Space Centre. Now, it looks pretty cool if you look online, this place. I'm quite looking forward to it. And it's going to be a good place for a meet for flat earthers. And it's pretty central of the British Isles, so it's good for everybody to get to, if you ask me. So, open invitation. We'll put some promos out. I'll do that myself. I should imagine you will as well, Nathan. Yeah. And
No doubt.
yeah, open invitation. Any flat earthers in the UK, new, young or old, male or female, anybody from across the board is welcome. Okay, even I was going to say non-flat earthers, but they are welcome. Anybody's welcome. And we can pull
I'm sure there'll be plenty of non-flat earthers there, as it's open to the public. So
yeah, oh yeah. But when there's a lot of flat earthers and they talk about flat Earth, you find everybody else in the surrounding vicinity listens in like this. Well, that sounds interesting. Whatever are they talking about? It's excellent for people to eavesdrop. People talking about flat Earth. That's why meets are so cool, I think. Anyway, helps get it out.
Good fun, even when it's just you and I, eh, Martin? It's just
yeah, it is. We as a scream. Yeah, we do. It is good fun. But I want more meets, more get-togethers. It's great online. Don't get me wrong, meeting people from all over the plane, but it's not the same as actually meeting people.
Have you done all your introductions, Martin? Did you introduce Spec? Oh, we lost Martin.
Nathan, I believe you did.
Yeah, temporarily. While he's gone, I was going to ask you something actually, Brian. You said there's loads more. I didn't want to interrupt Martin's introduction, so just tell us more, man. If you think there's more people, what makes you say that?
Well, when I used to take all your guys' stuff and put it on those stations at first, or those platforms, I should say. And believe it or not, there's like in Pal Talk, there was over 10,000 flat earthers that were actually commenting and coming in to all the hangouts. So we don't call them hangouts; they were just rooms over there. But all these other platforms, there's a lot of people out there, guys. People don't even realize how many are out there. I mean, we are out there. People think that we are a small group. No, we are bigger than most people think.
Yeah, it certainly seems that way with the metrics. But I had this conversation earlier today, and someone was asking me a few details about how I publish my videos, and I explained that I'd got a secondary channel that I'd mirrored a lot of my Hangouts, in fact, mostly just Hangouts, in fact. And it was kind of, the way it was put back to me was like, well, that manipulates the figures and distorts them. And I thought, yeah, but you've only got to look at someone like Quasi-Luminous to see that, they're spamming videos that are labeled Flat Earth into the Flat Earth metrics. But yeah, there's a huge number of videos now that are tagged up with Flat Earth.
It's grown. It's huge now. I mean, since you guys have started, and since I came into it, I've seen numbers go from, it seems like just maybe a couple thousand to all of a sudden, I say we're in the millions. I really can say that. I really think we're minimum millions.
Yeah, I think that goes without saying. There's definitely millions of them. If you're talking videos, I don't know about Flat Earthers. It's hard to know the numbers.
I think there's a lot more out there than you guys think. Really, it's bigger than what you think.
Hey, we've got Martin back. Do you sort your technical issue, Martin?
No, it's dropped out. I don't know what happened. Really strange. Yeah, I heard that. I reckon that there's a lot more new people coming into it. I noticed in Kevin's chat the other day there was 500, 600 people. I only knew one or two people. It was just people I never knew. Oh, I know that one.
You're all broken up and robot-like, Martin. I don't know what the issue is.
I come back now. I don't need that.
No worries. Crazy internet issues that Martin has.
Yeah, what I found, Nathan, is that YouTube seems to be like the storage zone for the videos, and then they have these other platforms. I mean, like Facebook, Twitter, and all these other places that are actually directing the traffic to YouTube. So it's not actually YouTubers that are only watching them. I think the vast majority of people are getting redirected to a YouTube video, or it's embedded in a website or something like that. So I do think there are more than what the ratio would assume if you just looked at YouTube data alone.
Sure, you can look at the I certainly look at my stats all the time in terms of where the shares come from and where the viewers are coming from. And you're right, there's huge numbers that do get filtered in through those other platforms like Twitter and Facebook. And random sites that just happen to embed the video into their site, and that does it all adds up. It all adds to the numbers, though. In other words, every view that comes from Twitter or Facebook will still register as a view.
Now, I do got to admit, some of those things are being reintroduced. So I've been on this platform. I'm on 4 other platforms. So then that actually takes up what you count that as 4. So that's 5 counts that I'm taking up. So I do got to take that in consideration,
Yeah, the numbers are just a guide, and we don't know what they're using to count. I've had loads of people say, well, that won't count. I've already watched it once. And you think, well, is that the case? I know they've got this red bar that runs along the bottom of the videos now that shows you, or at least it does on my iPad, how much of the video you've watched if you've watched it before.
Yeah.
So does it count as 2 if you went back and watched it? I would say yes. I would say
I think it does.
I have no idea if it does, but that would count as 2 views to me, in my mind, in my logic. But it's still only one person viewing one show.
Yeah, it's weird because in the analytics, there's the little question mark over the viewers, right? So I'll have a live stream, and then right after it caches to my channel, it has like 300 or 400 viewers, and I'm like, how is that possible when I only had at best a median of like maybe 20 to 22 viewers? But then you hit that little question mark, and it says that refreshes will grow that number as long as they remain watching for I can't remember the time length. So if they refresh 4 or 5 times throughout an hour, that one viewer will register multiple views. I mean, there's no way to.
Although
That makes sense.
It's a bit unfair, but I think if you left, so if I was watching this hangout now and went, God, that Nathan guy's really boring, and then clicked off, went and watched another show for 10 minutes, and then came back, and in the feed it happened to have Brian's Azimuthal equidistant avatar, and I thought, oh, that might be something I want to watch, not realizing it's exactly the same show, but you have literally watched it twice. That it's attracted you in or back in. With a refresh, not so much. That shouldn't really count as a second view if you're still watching it.
I've jumped off and came back on, and it won't let, or for instance, like if you like something, okay, it won't let you like it again. So I think in that aspect, it's doing the same thing to where some of us or some of the views are getting counted twice, and I think some of them aren't. I don't know where their logic is in picking one or the other, but I think they're favoriting some and not favoriting others,
Possibly, certainly with the ad counts, that's it's got to be accurate. They're going to be held to account by people who are paying them money. If Nescafe or whoever says, I want to see exactly why you've charged me this amount and where the ads have been viewed, that I would assume YouTube would absolutely be able to show them. Here's all those ad revenues. Here's where they've been watched, if they had to. Otherwise, no one would ever. No one would ever trust them if they just assumed that, well, I'm paying you for somebody sitting there refreshing.
Well, those numbers can be skewed also. I mean, it's just like the polls, just like voting. Do we all really believe in that our vote really counts? You know what I mean?
I mean, I know what you're saying, but by the same token, I just think when there's money involved, people tend to get a bit more fussy. And
paper trail. Gotcha.
Yeah. So if there's always that ratio as well, in terms of the ad revenue versus the view count, and it's normally pretty consistent in terms of how many views versus how many people have actually watched the ad as opposed to skip it, and that tends to stay pretty consistent. So if there's some wild distortion between the two, you go, oh, that can't be right. The same applies to things like comments and likes. If you've got a video that you see that's got a disproportionate number of views versus the number of comments, that's kind of a bit eyebrow raising. You can't draw any conclusions, obviously. You can't say, well, obviously they've bought a load of views. But it does just raise an eyebrow when you go, okay, this video apparently has had 3,000 views, just to pick a number. Why has it only got 4 comments? That doesn't make sense. It's not
right.
About 1 in 10, I would say, ratio. Same with the likes. 1 in 10 people who come and view, according to the view count, will rate or comment. So yeah, again, if you've got 100 views, you should really have 6 thumbs up and 4 thumbs down if your ratings are like mine, or 10 thumbs up or whatever. But 1 in 10 would be about the right kind of ratio. So if you go in again and you see 1,000 views and 14 thumbs up and 2 thumbs down, it's like, oh, okay, that's a bit weird.
Well, a lot of people won't like something because it goes onto your like spot. You know what I mean? Where you can go in and you can see their like stations. Okay. A lot of people, I've been told, they will not like it because they're just seem like they want to use the like button or even to watch it later, whatever. When you're using those, it's so you can go back and check it sometimes. But if somebody else checks on your thing, they'll see the liked or going back. You know what I mean? It's all there. So a lot of people won't push these buttons because they're afraid other people are going to see it.
Yeah, and proportionally, I'd say that's about right. 9 out of 10 won't click the like button. They'll just go in. They won't interact with the content at all. They'll just watch it. But 1 in 10 will. on average, there's obviously certain topics that you might put out as flat earthers that get a lot more comments than other people's videos. But I'm just going by my own metrics. That's all I can really go by.
Am I there now?
Beautiful, Martin.
I don't know what happened there.
That's good.
I think it's because Wales been playing England today in Cardiff, and there's like basically the city's probably all online tonight. I'm not sure. Sucking away all my bandwidth. We got
That's
beat.
most probably definitely what it is.
It is. It is. They're drunk in town and wrecking the place. Yeah, we lost today. We were robbed right at the end by England. We were beating them until the last couple of minutes, and it was very sad. This is rugby with Wales today.
Rugby. Okay.
Yeah, it's the only sport that I vaguely watch because of the national anthem. Apart from that, I don't look at the sport itself.
It's rugby union.
Yeah, rugby union. It's the only sport I watch. Don't watch any sport at all. Maybe beach volleyball in the Olympics, but that's about it. Don't watch any.
Not the rhythmic gymnastics then.
Oh yeah, the rhythmic gymnastics.
How did I know?
Yeah, Martin, I was wondering if you'd let me ask you guys a question when I have an open forum or whatever.
Shoot.
Yeah, so I'm obviously doing hangouts and stuff like that, and I'm starting to get into where I want to invite people on and do like an interview, and I was wondering, what would you guys, since you have a lot of experience, with good and bad guests and so forth, this would be my first one. What kind of advice would you give me or someone who wants to do that on YouTube?
Cool. My advice is what I do is I don't fear who to send messages to ask them if I can interview them. I think, well, there's nothing ventured, nothing gained, and I just bite the bullet and I'll send emails to people who I basically like and would like to speak to or interview for whatever reason, and just do it that way. Just fear not. Start with somebody who you really like, or somebody you want to find out about. Is that's be my advice, and just go for it. Do it.
Yeah,
I think it's a good idea.
Don't be afraid for people to say no. Again, you'll probably find a similar ratio. 1 in 10 will say yes, and you'll be like, surely everyone will want to chat with me online and do an interview. And no, 1 in 10 will say yes. But again, a lot of the other people that say no, you've got to be a bit more persistent. People might say no initially, and if you keep on their case, I mean, Thomas Sheridan, I chased for a long time to get him on my show. He did not want to be on a flat earth show at all, but I persisted. I persisted with him and gave him my reasons why I wanted him on. I didn't give him any assurances, I don't think, that I wasn't going to talk about flat earth or was, but he still came on, and that just took a bit of persistence. So that would be my advice: be a bit persistent.
Get a couple of good names under your belt. That helps later on. Like if you get some good names under your belt, then other people, feel gravitated, use that expression, towards you, and you get a good platform. Then it's easy to do. Well, it's not easy. You just got to fear not.
Yeah, I actually have someone I actually didn't think would give me the time of day, and I'm really nervous, and I don't know how to prepare or how to act during it. I'm assuming I'll probably have to get on cam and all that good stuff. So I was wondering, like, what do you guys do to prepare? How do you range your questions?
Nope.
Don't totally wing it every time.
Every time. No prepping.
Same here.
Right. As I go in, I write a couple of things down that'll appear, come into mind during the duration, but that's it. No prepping. Don't have no questions written down.
I did prep one show because the guest specifically asked me what questions would be asked. So for that particular show, I prepped questions and sent them to the guest. I did offer, and I do offer most guests, if you want to know what I'm going to ask you, let me know and I'll tell you. And all of them, apart from one, have said no. Nah, I don't care. Ask me what you like. One said, yes, please send me a list of the questions. I was like, oh, okay.
I'll have to write some
Write
down.
some questions down.
Yeah. Fucking hell.
Yeah, now you had to go make a list.
Oh.
No, I appreciate you guys entertaining that. I was lucky enough to get in here, and you guys were both here, so I'm like, cool. I might as well ask while I got the chance.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Do it. More the merrier, I tell you.
And again, people will turn against you. And in Flat Earth, sometimes that can be a matter of hours.
Oh, you haven't seen my video yet? That it was already happened. Yeah, I got a video and everything.
And then back again in minutes.
Yeah. And the FE jungle drums that will go around the entire plane within 5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I was
Anything
making
can happen.
a specific reference to my most recent guest, actually. I don't know if that slipped you by or not, what happened there. No?
I saw that.
So I interviewed what I thought was a nice upcoming vibrant flat earther named Daphne Rimmel. Had a lovely interview with her. She'd been on a couple of days previous with Mark Sargent. Wonderful. She's hit the ground running. About 18 hours after she did the interview with me, she made a video log saying that she'd been to Shilltown, and she did it in a British accent. I've been to Shilltown or something like that.
What? Really?
Yeah, she claimed that, get this, you'll love this, Martin. This was priceless. She claimed that we were shills, and this was applied to me, although she didn't name any names. She put a little British accent on, talked about the 2 interviews. She'd only done 2 interviews, and then said, because I didn't use foul language, I was a shill. Have you heard anything like it?
No, man. Oh, my
Fucking
God.
outrageous.
I thought she was really cool and all right. That's really weird.
There was a lot of us that we could see through it.
Yeah, right. Oh, it's the same old song I've been hearing for so long. It's just so crap.
It was
And
straight out the Eric DeBay playbook, it was.
yeah. Did you see Khufu 72's video earlier? Khufu versus Eric Dubé is called, where Eric Dubé had stated there was no southern rotation of or no southern pole star, and Khufu's there with his P900 live and shows him in time lapse the circular rotation and southern cross and a southern pole star existing, and showed you the comment stream where basically he's denying the existence of, so he's calling him a disinfo agent. So intriguing.
Yeah. Going to deny the Southern Star rotations. That's pretty bonkers. I didn't know Eric DeBay actually denied their existence. Or,
Yes.
well, we can't say that. I haven't watched the video and I don't know what Eric claims or doesn't claim, so it's unfair to say he denies their existence. But
I
you know,
can't say
whatever.
I've seen any video evidence of him denying it, but it was on it's just somebody we commented in a comment stream. I'm not sure if he said that or stated that on a video, because I haven't heard that, if I'm honest.
Seems a bit out there.
Doesn't it? I know. Not as out there as our Matt Powerland's video yesterday, which got a lot of traction because it was basically urgent. AI knows the Earth is flat. It does. Google knows, obviously. It does tell you when you ask it. But he says that there are an army of droids going to be unleashed upon humanity. And they have them, by the way. As well as lizard people. Sorry, it's just me. I'm in a silly mood.
Nice.
Have anyone seen? Did you, anybody?
Yeah, I
No, it's
watched.
just me.
I watched. Yeah. At your recommendation, I
Watched
watched a
it, yes.
video log with my daughter, and she's
You
all
and your-
pouring at the screen, Martin, for you. She's like, "Oh, she knows who you are." Oh, Martin's dropped off again. It's quality. Martin's the host, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Timeless, classic Martin.
Hi, everyone.
You're back. Hi, Zoe.
Hi. Yeah, I was out with the dogs and then it went live. So came back and I was on air. Yeah. So yeah, I might drop later, but well, right now I'm here. So hi everyone.
Did you see Math Powerland's video, Zoe?
No, I didn't. What was that? Today?
Yeah, today I think it was.
Hmm.
A bit earlier.
Yesterday.
Was it yesterday?
5,000 others have watched it.
Oh, you've got a bad connection again, Martin.
Fucking nuts. I'll just
Yeah, it's all roboty.
put them with yourself.
We shall do, Martin.
Oh yeah.
So you guys had a private hangout yesterday, is that right?
Yeah.
Who was amongst that lot? All of the same people who are here tonight.
Yeah, pretty much except for Brian.
What was the heated discussion about?
I don't know if there was any heated discussion.
No, that's the wrong term. I wasn't there, so I can't call it heated. What was the interesting subject of conversation that caused some disagreement? What was that about?
Oh, yeah.
Well, it wasn't really disagreement. Well, yeah, it was disagreement, but well, it was the personification of a creator, attributing a creator human traits, and not reckoning with yourself in the present, instead of being a nice person because you will be judged when you're dead. And I just, yeah, I don't agree with that. So I guess that would, but that it didn't really go further than that. I kind of didn't express myself correctly. Yeah, but.
So anthropomorphizing, making God have human qualities.
Yes. Well, yeah, I don't even know if I feel comfortable talking about it.
Sorry.
No. So thanks a lot, Nathan. I mean, I should be comfortable, and maybe I'm just, feeling kind of caught off guard here.
Sorry.
Not that I should be guarded, but yeah.
But then again, it is a touchy subject. I did a video log about it recently, and the question I asked was quite simple. It was like, which came first, chicken or egg?
Yeah.
And some of the comments were pretty out there in terms of no one could give a reasonable justification for their answer, in my view.
No, I mean, and the whole thing is also, I mean, humans have been discussing this since the birth of dawn. I mean, we'll never ever figure it out. I mean, like I think it was you, Spec, that said it the other day, that we can try to define God, but that's just completely impossible. Will never happen. So it's kind of pointless to have all discussions, because I mean, it's cool to philosophize, but yeah, we're not going to find out until we die, and we might even not find out then. So I don't know. Because we're always asked to question. We're perfectly ready to question and say to people, "Hey, you do realize that's a belief you're holding about the globe," and but we're not always ready to question other beliefs, and I do find that hypocritical. And that might sound as if I'm putting someone down, but I do it daily myself. Question my thoughts and where they originate from, and why am I having them? Why am I thinking them? And think about my thoughts. So when I hear people talking on autopilot, it disturbs me. Did everything freeze?
Understand.
No, it's very dramatic, taking in what you're saying. You've got to reflect on what you're thinking is what you're saying. And,
Yes.
Yeah, if not, then you're, subjugated to a potential dogma, regardless of if it's an actual religious institution or thought structure. I think you should. It's healthy to do self-inventory, and I think that's a lot of the reasons why we have this mysterious they out there that are offering all these distractions. And whether it's human nature or an actual group of individuals that are promoting this, is that you're so distracted that you never really look within for these answers and self-evident truths about just yourself, let alone your universe, your fellow man, or a potential creator.
Yeah, because we're talking about scientism being a religion. We're glad to question that and egg others on to question it, because, hey, dudes, don't you see? Look at this. But there are certain political correctness things that it's not that. Well, yes, I would say that in a philosophical blah blah in a philosophical way, that you should be able to question anything. Nothing should be quote unquote holy. Not that you are necessarily trying to tear it down. That's not the point. The point is to look at it honestly and objectively, and without the filter that we've been indoctrinated with.
I was gone for a second, but I tried to get the gist of the conversation. But from what I've heard, I agree totally, and did some videos on the general subject that what we are all trying to do is get the ball earthers, this standard paradigm, to question their beliefs. And we can see that, if we're going to be careful on defining our terms, that religion or religious has come to mean not necessarily belief in a deity, but any kind of control system that does not tolerate heretics, will excommunicate people, ridicule, use peer pressure, attempt to use the courts to enforce their view, and exclude other views. And if you question the wrong things, then you're a bad person in that paradigm. And so that's just the general use that has come to mean. And so when we say that we're fighting against a religious indoctrination system, which scientism has become, we have to be careful not to fall right back into it ourselves, because we can see that happening with all the splintering that's gone on in the community, that people are excommunicating each other, especially, we have the race card in the political realm. Well, now we have the shill card or the agent card, that's all you have to do is accuse somebody because you don't like, for example, I think it was, I forget who it was that mentioned that they were thought to be a shill because it was Nathan that said they were thinking you were a shill because you didn't use swear words. Well, I had the very same thing happen to me a few days ago, where I was nice to someone and I was called an agent, because agents are always nice and they draw you in and then they pounce on you, and that level of paranoia can't be sustained. I mean, we've seen it over and over when people start pointing guns at each other's heads, and then then we have others going around declaring themselves the truth or orthodoxy police, where they think it's their mission to purge the community from time to time, and it just keeps happening over and over. And I'm not quite sure what to do to stop the cycle, but I think what used to bind us all together was that we were being rational and tolerant in a good way, not tolerant of absurdities or poor behavior, but tolerant of differences of opinion that are expressed in a way that is not antagonistic, not trying to be trollish or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Yeah, and the thing is, when I found out the Earth was flat, I felt it as a very logical conclusion, or at least an idea that, wow, yeah, that would mean that there most likely is a creator. Wow. It was wonderful. But I still allow myself to not state that as a fact, because I mean, and if when you hear somebody say, "Oh, you don't believe in a creator," well, then you're not a real flat earther, and that's just silly. because nobody can state that as fact. We can imagine it, and we can say, yeah, it looks like it. But still, when we attribute the Creator human traits, and the avoidance of taking responsibility in this life, and waiting for the judgment in the next life, that kind of it's justifying one's own actions without really thinking, or I don't know. I get some kind of mixed up in all these things because it's a big subject, and
I do understand.
Yeah, and I think it's fine to have convictions. I mean, there's nothing wrong with passionately defending your position on something, but at the same time, recognizing that all of us can be wrong, and if somebody is just, we all have touchy subjects that we really get passionate about because it's such a deep conviction. And what I'm hoping to see more of in the community, and less of the, for example, to be New Age is cool, to be a traditional, conservative Christian is not cool, just because that's what, draws in the numbers or whatever the reason might be. But
and that's also hypocritical, because New Age is just a replacement of Christianity.
Yeah, it's just an alternate view like anything else.
Yeah, but it's the same things that apply. Instead of judgment when you die, you go to heaven or hell. You build up good or bad karma, and you either go to nirvana now or in 1,000 lives. It's still guilt based, and
right.
Not really. It's just another some different rituals. It's just an exchange of rituals. It's not an exchange, but it's putting other rituals instead of a Christian
substitution.
Ritual. Yeah, substitution. Yeah.
And if everybody can just say to say that everybody has an equal place at the table is not to say that we have to believe every view is equally true, because that takes all the individual choice out of everything. I have, for example, strong convictions that the Bible is true and Jesus is true, Christianity is true, but that doesn't mean that I won't let anyone else talk just because I think they're totally wrong, off base. If you send pray to statues, I should be able to control you and keep you from expressing your opinion would be wrong. On the other hand, in my opinion, that person is wrong, and there's nothing wrong with thinking that. I mean, I just happen to think that's wrong, but I'm not going to prevent them from speaking. I'm not going to, tell them that they should be, kicked out of the group. And all any of us could ask is for everybody else to have the same standard, if you want to call it that, of what tolerance really is. It's not that you must believe everything is equally true, because that means nothing is true. It's like a line from the animated movie The Incredibles, where the villain says, when everyone is super, no one will be. It's the same thing. If everyone's a god, no one is.
Exactly.
And so certain things can't both be true at the same time, but we can legitimately disagree and think the other person is wrong, but that doesn't mean we have to condemn the other person and play the judge. So I think if we can figure that out, we'll be all right.
Yeah, and I think one of the main point I was trying to make, which I felt difficult yesterday, was the automation of our answers. And because we in Flat Earth talk so much about having belief in the globe, and we have no problem telling people, oh, you do realize it's a belief you're holding. The globe is a belief, so when we were talking about, people have their faith and they hang on to it, and that's the only thing they have, and I say, whoa, this is the exact point where we're not thinking, we're just repeating, and just because it's not flat Earth we're talking about, or the globe, then it's kind of, you can't touch that, but that's the same thing we're doing with Globers, that it's a belief, and that's you have faith in the globe, you have faith in scientism, and we feel free to not go after Globers, but a lot of flat earthers was, you're just a glober. You do realize you're having a faith, and that's just, get out of the box and all that.
The problem occurs when people assert their beliefs as facts, and debate them. So yeah, everybody is entitled to their beliefs, but that's kind of good for you. And when you go beyond that and start to express beliefs to others and try and convince them of your belief, and your faith, it's like, well, that is your faith. That is your belief, and you're entitled to that. But that's as far as it goes, unfortunately.
Yeah, we have to remember
Yeah,
that.
I agree. I mean, I did a video on that, all the parallels with flat Earth and Christianity, where, like I said a little bit ago about heretics and everything. There's so many parallels. But like I said, if you express, is how you express it is going to make a big difference, because I can say this is my deep personal conviction, and I believe it to be a fact. I'm not going to tell you you have to believe it's a fact too, but at the same token, if you believe it's not a fact, I disagree with you, that's fine. But each of us is allowed to say what we believe the facts are. The problem comes, and we cross the line when we say you are wrong, not just because I believe you're wrong, but because my standard is the one that rules, whichever side it is, because it isn't just one side doing it. So we just, like I say, I'm just hoping that we can avoid the same pitfalls we've been trying to escape,
Yes, exactly.
Sorry, Zoe. I was just going to say, I see a contradiction in terms in the way you phrase that. And I don't mean to be rude by being argumentative, but when you say, I believe it to be a fact, that's a contradiction in terms, is it not?
I wouldn't say so, because all of us believe certain things are facts. We believe that we have a certain understanding, like we're trying to find our understanding of the earth and the universe. And we're very much, we wouldn't be trying to spread this message if we didn't believe it to be a fact. Whereas, and a lot of people draw a sharp line between belief and fact, but I don't. I would define them as, there are certain things I believe because of the facts or the things that I've observed that other people observe too. It's like the old, the long-standing creation evolution debate. We all have the same evidence. We have the same artifacts, the same fossils, the same methods of determining, examining things scientifically. The difference, the split comes in the interpretations. And so when I say, I believe certain things on the basis of the facts that I can observe, like, for example, I believe the earth was created because of certain things I see in geology and astronomy and all these things. What I believe the origin is a faith that is based on the facts. That's just how I see it.
Yes, but the thing is, with facts, there's no need for belief or faith.
But there was, I don't know, Zoe, Paula put plenty of caveats in that, and I don't know, that did make sense. You can have a faith in something that is based on, there's plenty of evidence for flat earth, if you want to phrase it as evidence, in the Bible. So therefore, as I understand it from Paula, her faith, which is defined in the religion itself, you have to have faith in order to be a Christian. So I'm butchering it and trying to paraphrase what you've just said, Paula, which is a bit pointless.
That's okay. Yeah, it's not the easiest thing to define, because not everybody sees it that way, and so it's hard to express. But yeah, I'm saying that that my faith is based on what I can see, what I can demonstrate and repeat, and other people can get the same results. That's the scientific method. And everybody will project something they believe or expect on the basis of scientific method. So I don't see my faith as anything different than that. I see certain things that are not necessarily, it includes archaeology and things like that, but it also includes testimony or legal evidence. And this is not something you can put in a laboratory, but it is something that you can use certain methods that are repeated over and over for all ancient documents that I use as a basis for what I think is a reasonable extension of that. I don't know if that helps or not, but
yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, that's more concise than most people would say. They, you know, normally you get a barrage of abuse if you even cross the subject.
I'm sorry, I had to talk to somebody for a second. I missed your. Did you have a question or?
I just said, no, it's this kind of conversation's lovely, you know, because
Yeah.
clearly we are obviously at odds in our opinion, but there's no heat. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
No animosity.
No animosity.
No,
Yeah.
whatsoever. No.
I find that when people start to get angry, it shows the fact that they don't believe what they're saying. Because if you're confident in what you believe or what you say is a fact in your mind and how you've, taken the evidence and researched it or do whatever, you don't need to get upset or lash out or anything like that, because one, you're not going to change the other person's viewpoint. And not only that, you're going to do a disservice to yourself, but you're confident in what you say. So when I see like flat earthers freak out or globe earthers freak out, I'm like, they don't really believe what they're selling.
Right. And I think if I can, port over another experience from the Christian community to the flat earth community, is that we do, like you said, do a disservice when we try to take the nasty bludgeon people approach, because that's not going to win anybody over. But if you just talk and say, and define your terms is really important, because a lot of the clashing comes from people misunderstanding what the other people mean, because what people tend to do is project their own rationale and their own thoughts into what somebody else is saying and meaning, and nobody's, in the heat of a conversation, they don't stop to ask, what do you really mean by that? Like defining religion, for example. And if we just slow down and just talk to people and have mutual respect as people with valid differences of opinion, I think we'll do really well. And that's the thing, is as people, one core principle that I hope to get across is that people can legitimately disagree, even when both are well versed in a topic. There are scholars who vehemently disagree and have this has gone on for centuries, great debates that have raged for centuries by people who are well educated, and they just disagree. It's just a human thing. And so when we say somebody's disagreeing because something's wrong with them, then we're being elitist and arrogant, I think. And so in my own faith community as well, this is a big problem where people, I would get at least as much heat from my fellow Christians as I would from ball earthers, just because people don't understand that one principle that, we're all human and we're all fallible and we can disagree even though we're, equally educated on something, for example. What will set, just for me personally, what will set me off and get me heated is when I do know something really well and I'm talking to someone who can't produce evidence that they've studied to the same level and they're telling me I'm wrong. That would be like me going up to somebody who studied aeronautical engineering and telling them they don't know how to build an airplane. That would be stupid of me, and I might get lucky and actually be right about that at some little point, but it wouldn't be from knowledge, and it would just be way out of place to try to punk the expert on that. You know what I'm saying?
Isn't that exactly what we're doing in the case of NASA?
They would say so, I think, but yeah, I do agree to a point, because we, in large part, a lot of us are not educated on aeronautics, on rocketry, on chemistry, or any of the other things, a million things that go into what NASA allegedly does. And that's the problem. We're at a great disadvantage because we don't have the resources to catch up. And we can't all be engineers and we can't all be chemists and whatever discipline, but we're trying to talk as though we are. And we have to slow down and find people who are already educated. For example, we have people like Brian Mullen who are structural engineers. They already have that knowledge, and they would be qualified to speak on that area. And so I think when we have to be careful that we're not being those arrogant, controlling people who are punking the instructor. That's absolutely right.
Yeah. Yeah. The only point I was trying to make yesterday was that we go on automatic pilot and start talking about our religious beliefs in the same way that we forget that we're still talking about beliefs, and that's why I got upset yesterday. And like I said, I mean, maybe people thought that I was trying to get into a fight or something. Not at all.
No, I still think that if it came out mainstream, Flat Earth, everyone got to find out overnight that if they did conceive that this could be a creation, aka a creator, that they might change their ways of thinking. That's what I was getting at.
Okay.
I painted in a different picture. I sort of, like you said, I acquainted it to God having.
Well, no, it was more like the thing
characteristics,
about that we mustn't shake people up who they only have their faith, and that's what they live. That's and that's the thing. It's the same thing, It's Globers have a belief in the globe. They have faith in the globe, but we feel perfectly fine with jogging them. Silverwolf is saying here in the chat, Silverwolf in the chat is saying, beliefs are good exercise for the mind. Without them, you fall to the mechanical thinking method and, well, welcome to the New World Order where thought will be limited. Well, that's exactly the opposite of thinking. Beliefs are the opposite of thinking. You find out something that you believe in and then you keep to it. That's not thinking. So I do not agree, Silverwolf, sorry.
Not critical thinking anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, you have to be able to question your beliefs. I mean, because you could go on for 10 years believing something that's not even vaguely true, but because you believe it, you can't question it. That's not healthy.
And also recognizing, as most of us now do, what cognitive dissonance actually is. The ability to rewire your own brain to make a belief make sense. In the face of evidence, in the face of categorical proof that disproves your belief, people can still rewire their cognition. They can still fill in the blanks. They can get from A to D, and they can entirely miss B and C. They can do that. That's brains are wonderful things. And it's back to, if your brain has been wired in that way, as we would argue Globers have, then you've been duped. And if you've been duped, it is really difficult to convince somebody that they've been duped. Nobody wants to have been fooled. Really easy to fool them, really easy to lie to them. Very difficult to convince them that they've been lied to.
Yeah.
Because they'll automatically go through that process. Now, I can't have been mistaken because this, and this. And if necessary, they will invent stuff. Just
yeah, which again, it all comes back to identification with one's belief. Because you build your whole identity up around a belief.
It's like what Nathan said earlier. A belief is something for someone is own.
For someone what?
For himself.
Yes.
In the mind.
And Zoe, you brought up. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you can talk about beliefs. That's fine, but it's still, in the end, always for the person itself.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, Zoe, I was just going to say you brought up a good point about being sensitive to people because, as we said, you can't just go around beating people over the head with things. That's not ever going to work. All that will do is make them dig in their heels. And so whatever it is, whatever message anyone is trying to spread, they have to think about who they want to accept it. And what would you do if somebody came to you with a knife in their hand and said, convert or die, whether it's to Flat Earth or anything else?
Yeah.
We're only multiplying our enemies if we go around just smashing them left and right. And instead of just trying to appeal to reason. Now, granted, a lot of them won't do that, and they smash us back, even if we've been, offered a hand and to shake, they'll do, slap it away. That's their problem. But we have to take the high road and try to model that kind of behavior. And of course, that's the very attitude that got me labeled an agent. But what can I do about that? There's nothing I can do about it.
But there's a difference in between respecting people's views and still be able to have a conversation about them. Well, not a difference, but yeah,
right.
That it shouldn't be. Oh no, don't go there, because that you can't touch that. And that
right, but it's how you do it, right?
Yeah. So.
Yeah, just saying "good for you" is a bit condescending.
To who?
Yeah, I've heard so many times of people saying, "Well, if you were as enlightened as I am, and you would agree with me if you had risen and what's the word, ascended, then you would agree with me." Here we are again saying there's something wrong with you because you disagree.
You missed a bit. You missed a bit from that. The start of that is, I was where you are.
Yes. I was once like you, but now I know better.
I was once in your shoes.
Slap.
I got it. I've had it, Nathan. It's like showing somebody how to mop the floor. It's like, there's a saying, don't treat your granny up to suck eggs. Do you say that in America? Well, that's what it was.
You're kind of breaking up. Could you say that again, Martin?
No.
No.
What Martin said was, we have a phrase here, which is, you don't teach grandma to suck eggs.
Oh, no, she knows perfectly well how to do that. Or what?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I just find it frustrating is all. People do it.
So let's change things then slightly. So Spec, you have been doing a good show though recently. You've had plenty of controversial people on. How's it going?
Yeah. Well, I get mixed responses, and
Any stick?
Yeah, kind of.
Well, you must be doing something right then.
I don't know. I've been questioned. I've been labeled. I've had videos made.
Yeah, I have tonight. I just found out. Glenda.
Yeah. And it's tough, you try to do something a little different because what's going on isn't working. And, it like I said, it's more of a thought experiment, if at all anything. And it wasn't something planned. It kind of just happened. And I'm like, hey, might as well use this as maybe a bridge, let's not talk about flat earth. Let's talk about, philosophy, science, tech, digital animation, whatever you want to talk about. And maybe you'll find out that, this stupid globe head has some interesting other stuff that you guys share in common, but, it was a little too, rose-colored glasses, I guess.
No, it's opening the field to a wider spectrum. With flat earth, I'm just sort of attracting flat earthers, which I wanted to do. But, if I had entitled my channel something else, and then I could have broaden my horizons into the the conspiracy world, because I am interested in so many aspects of it which are not flat earth.
Yeah, and that's what I started seeing also, is that especially when I was like I said, kind of told not to come around anymore, I started doing some of this introspective that we were talking about, like, hey, how do I know that I wasn't sitting in the stew too long, and I just kind of took on this persona that's being defined for me, and I really had to step away from flat earth. And right now I'm getting the fact that they're telling me that I need to choose. That was what the video was about. They're like, hey, you can't hang out with Jed Skeptic and then go on Dell's show and ask them a bunch of questions or offer them help, and you can't you used to be on this channel, but now you can't do that because, and I'm getting told I'm being what I have to pick a definition, and I'm just refusing to do it. And
do what you want to do. Anyone tells me what to do, I get my hair off. It really makes me go the other way more. Really.
yeah, I totally get it. You know, I mean, I can see how they could think that, you know, the whole saying, you know, show me your friends and I'll tell you what you're about kind of thing. I get it, but then they don't really know me, you know. I haven't sniped nobody. I haven't done anything wrong, you know. And it's a real weird thing to navigate in this little utopia that we live in.
Especially the flat Earth. It's a minefield, to say the least.
What was that word you used? The what that we live in?
Utopia.
I like it.
I can't take credit for that. That's Cynthia from Pete Chan.
Oh, yeah, Cynthia Staley said that. I heard her stating that. I thought that's a really good saying.
Yeah.
How does it compare, would you say, Brian, YouTubia, compared to the other platforms? Israel Find has disappeared.
I think he's there. Brian?
No, I'm here. I just didn't hear the first part of the question.
So how would you say the world of YouTube, in terms of, I categorize flat Earth in two different ways. There's the fact that the Earth's flat and it doesn't matter one iota if we all got wiped out tomorrow, that wouldn't change. That's the Earth being flat. Then there's flat Earth. What we're doing now is flat Earth. Every single aspect of everything we've talked about, the New Age stuff, the aspects that spin off it, the religion, all of it, that's flat Earth. So how does flat Earth on YouTube compare to the other people that you said? There's loads of other people on all these other platforms. Would you say it's the same sort of vibe? Is the same sort of infighting, that sort of thing?
You have the same throughout it all. There's infighting. There's always the attacks, this and that. It's the same thing all across the board. I think the same, matter of fact, I've run across the same people in the different venues as in here. So that means either these people are just all over, or like we were talking about before, joking around, being paid. But you know what I mean. It's the same across the board. That's it. It is what it is.
I don't know, the whole paid thing, I think it's a load of crap. The amount of times I hear people say this.
That's why I'm laughing.
And it's like, I've got a phone that's with me all the time. And when I went to see my grandma, I'm in a hospital, I'm in the car, I'm doing stuff with the kid, walking around. I am still continually messaging. In that particular instance, it was Rory. But, you know, the fact that I'm very, very busy doesn't make one scrap of difference to the fact that I can be watching 5 different shows in that period and they're running.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's easy.
A lot of that is hype. A lot of that is hype.
Yeah, definitely. The paid agent thing, no evidence for it. Not that I've seen ever.
That was something that sparked like a fire that really should have been put out real quick.
Yeah, it's people like Eric DeBay really pushed that, and you know, it then spiraled.
Well, now you got people.
It's been on other platforms. It's not like it's new to flat Earth.
Yeah, but when you got stuff like this happening and all those other things that come up that we talk about that are, it's literally a joke. Why? Because it's getting people off of pushing or looking into the right venue, which is we're here for flat Earth. And now you have a lot of people that are, okay, all the drama, the infighting, this and that, it's taken us away from what we're supposed to be doing and doing good. You know, a lot of us are really getting tired of it. And how do you stop it? You know, it's just don't talk about it. You know, I stopped flat Earth and other shit because I was tired of the Stewart crap and all this other crap that was going on. I was over it.
That's where I met you, with Jeff's chat, in Jeff's show, a long time ago.
Might have been.
It was. I remember you. Yeah.
You know, just it's pulling everybody away from the stuff that they used to do really well. And now you're making hit pieces here and there, and you're not devoting your time to where you should be.
Yeah.
It seems like there's two. It seems like there's two factions. The people that it's an agenda-based, you know, mindset is that One group is like, no, I just want to notify people, get them to think, is this a possibility? And then they can run with the football. And that's how it should be in my mind. And then you got the people that think that they need to start getting the pitchforks and torches out. And those are the ones that I find tend to be the most aggressive. And I mean, they're on the farthest side of the spectrum at that point, causing the problems.
Completely entrenched. You're quite right. Yeah. Okay. Well, it's a learning curve for all of us. I think it's been progression with me. I found out just by looking at a video of me and how I've progressed throughout my experience of flat Earth. I think I've come along better than the person I was before I was a flat earther, from what I can see. I don't know about people who know me all along this ride, or I think I have. Would you say? Nathan, you know me since the very beginning.
Zoe and I had this conversation only the other night, and saying what wonderful friends we've made.
Oh yeah.
If nothing else, you know, the fact that we can have this conversation right now. Well, flat Earth, the one in inverted commas, that's why we're having this conversation. And it's lovely. I'm having a lovely time, you know. Don't get me wrong, my wife's fast asleep. I'm a bit more of an insomniac than she is. And to be able to just sit and shoot the breeze, talk about this stuff, lovely. You know, the conversation earlier with Yika, did I say that right?
She just popped off, Nathan. But I said Shika. It's only me that says that. Shiki.
Yeah, how do you say it then? Yika?
Yika.
Yeah.
Yika. The conversation between Yika and Zoe was wonderful to listen to. You know, just and same with Paula, you know, to hear these things and have a nice, pleasant discourse about them.
I agree totally. So enjoyed that. Love it. Thank you. Yeah, it is good group of friends we got. Like, you know, there is different camps I've seen set up, and there seems to be a subculture of what everything that's watching this arena. There seems to be a subculture set up that watches this arena, and actually a subculture of that subculture that watches that arena. It's a really incredible thing. That's sort of no such thing as evolution, but it's evolved here. And it's new to us all. I have made mistakes, and it is actually biased, and I am going to try and basically, before I shoot my mouth off, know exactly what I'm saying. Autopilot has been a problem of mine. I am going to try and improve. We've all, as I said, this is an evolution. This awakening is. I was sitting there thinking the other day, and it still blows me away, guys. All this time later, it still blows me away, because I really dig to say, you know, is there anything to say that this is not true? No, it's clear. The evidence is just profound now. We have so much, and the P900 has just smashed it. Everyone's going to get up this spring and get their P900s, and all of these absence of curvature shots are going to flood in. And more people are going to see this. People doing their own experiments away from people nobody trusts anymore. I don't think ordinary people trust the media anymore, or the news, especially when they're admitting they're faking it, which they did last week.
On the subject of fake news, I won't mention who I was having the conversation with, but I was recommending a site that Stephen Chess and I both look at, and it's really weird how these synchronicities happen. But I was having this conversation out of the blue about this particular website, which I'll get to in a second, and I'm explaining that you just need to look at this particular website, and it makes an absolute mockery of real news, because it's real news. It's actually, it's found footage and stuff. So I explained that, and the person who I was telling said, no, I don't have the stomach for that. I don't even like horror movies. No, thanks. I was like, well, good. You know, frankly, I stumbled on it by accident. And once you kind of see some of the stuff on the site, you can't unsee it. But that's kind of the point. So I remember when was it the Nice attack, when they had a truck plow through, I think they said it ended up being like 80 people or something ludicrous. And when that happened, what I immediately remember seeing was a truck plow through a crowd of people, in, I don't know, Singapore or somewhere like that, and it's smashed through a crowd, and you absolutely see it happen. And what you see is the truck be mangled as it smashes into stuff, and very quickly come to a halt because it's gone into a crowd of dense stuff, people, right? So that it comes to a quick halt. And what you then see is 7 or 8 people stumbling around with their legs ripped off, gushing blood everywhere, people in, you know, abject pain, you know, a lot of chaos and pandemonium. Nothing like what they show you on those types of videos for the Paris attack. John Le Bon immediately started live streaming it, and it paused it on what was said to be found footage, you know, off a camera phone, and he paused it on a sandbag style, you know, resuscitation dummy, whatever. You know, it wasn't a human body that's just been hit by a truck and killed. Absolutely no way. But when you see a human body hit by a truck and killed, that doesn't ever leave your mind. You know precisely what kind of carnage a truck hitting a crowd full of people is if you've seen it from some random stranger who's published it on this particular website. Now, the website, and I will put this disclaimer in here straight away, don't go to it if you don't have a cast iron stomach. If you are in the slightest bit queasy at the sight of blood, don't go there. It's as simple as that. But the site also publishes some of the fake news. So recently there was lots of beheadings. I don't watch the news, so this is the only place I saw the fake beheadings was on this site. And you watch a real beheading and then see the fake ones that were presented on CNN or whatever, and it's an absolute joke by comparison. You know, it's laughable. But it's only when you see them on a site like that, where every other video is, you know, really crappy phone footage, but there are definitely filming an execution, somebody who's been tried and then shot, you know. And there's a few things that you realize. One is that people are hard as nails, you know.
Yeah,
Very unbelievable.
Over and over again before they could kill him.
Shockingly difficult to kill. I couldn't quite believe it. But then anybody, I'm sure there's plenty of people who are watching this or will watch this that work in the medical industry and see people come in after horrific car accidents and recover, you know, with multiple both broken this and that and other limbs torn off that survive. You know, so if that's the case, when they are literally executing people and things, or more akin to the subject, when you've got fake news and you know what would have really happened because you've seen it, nobody would ever look at the real news in the same way again if they actually saw real news. So yeah, I might as well get the name of the site in that. There'll be people going, what's the site called? So yeah, the site's called Best Gore, bestgore.com. And it's got, I mean, I've been watching it for several years, and there was the community that's on that site caught a murderer. So I don't know if I want to give people, yeah, they did an international manhunt for a guy who had posted a video of him killing somebody, built it up with like some Hollywood style, you know, bullshit leading up to it in his small way, then killed somebody, published it, and, you know, was faking accounts and having stock accounts to promote this shit that he'd put out there, this disgusting, abhorrent shit that he's publishing. And yeah, people through a few key details in this guy's apartment and a few other, tracking him down through a few of the posts he'd made, one where he suffocated a load of kittens, they found out who he was, tracked him down, and he was arrested. In the meantime, the owner of the site was also locked up for breaching Canadian, this is all from memory, so if I'm wrong, I apologise, but I think it was decency laws that he had breached. And it was, I think it was in specific reference to the, I think the case was One Ice Pick, One, what was it called? One Maniac, One Ice Pick was the video that this guy had released, a murder video. But there was no, in that respect, it was no different to any other video that was published on that site. They were all that kind of video, just not necessarily so close to home. You know, they'd be in Africa lynching somebody or whatever. But just that kind of stuff, people, what's it called? I can never get the word right. Self-immolation, or where they set themselves on fire. things like that. The monks. Do you know what I mean?
Immolation. No, it's immolation.
Yeah.
Emulation. Is that the one? Things like that.
Immolation, yeah.
Yeah. So those are the sorts of videos that are on there, and there is absolutely no way anybody would go, I can pick that apart as fake. You know, there is no question. And when there is a question, it's because it's a fake news story, and they've gone, hey, look at this shit from CNN, and they're on there too, sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, I never was a fan of the news long before watching Best Score, but that was the point where I went, I will never watch news again. You know, after watching that, you go, that's news.
Yeah.
That's something that's an event that has taken place here is this man was executed. Bang, bang, bang. Now let's watch him spend 5 minutes dying. And you go, you can't unwatch that. It's horrible, absolutely horrible. But that's what really happened. That was an event, you know, and for it, the owner gets locked up. Meanwhile, we are sold garbage on a daily basis that is completely utter garbage. And yeah, that's the end of my rant.
I was thinking about this today, actually, what you're talking about. We always do this, things you're thinking about and talking about. I was thinking about this today. I was thinking about the execution of Saddam Hussein. Do you remember this event where they were slandering him and saying terrible things to him? He's in a long black trench coat. Now, hang on a minute. Do they really let inmates and people in prison or somebody like Saddam Hussein wear a long trench coat? Then it occurred to me, they must have been hiding a rope brace, the one they got the hooks on. Have you seen it? It's like a leather thing, and it's got hooks here, and they put the rope around there, and the rope around there, and one on the back, so it doesn't go around the neck. They must have done that with Saddam Hussein, because he was CIA, wasn't he? So I only thought about that today. Bloody trench coat.
The footage was total garbage. You can't see anything on the footage. So
no, you can't. That's why I've seen it today. It's pulling these things apart. Did you watched obviously Melbourne attack? I'm just going to give this opportunity to, if you do see this, PK Truth, one love, brother. Good luck with everything, Peter, and I hope everything works out, because if you all know, PK Truth is having a bit of a bad time off the man. I mean, he has had the book thrown at him. He's been in court and everything. He's got to not do any more of this. He's not allowed to mention anything to do with any sort of, well, Melbourne. He's not even allowed to mention the words. Now, I know you watch Russian vids, don't you, Nathan?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, well, he posted a couple of days back his version from high up looking down and then coming along the streets. And there's a girl, what he calls the beach whale. And she's got a couple of rips in her back. She's laying face down, just really overweight girl, and a couple of rips, no blood again, and in the distance you can see that young girl, and she looks over at the camera, and as soon as the camera comes close, she starts screaming. Yet again, laying there, no injuries, no blood, Nathan. No, you're right. A girl got run over and killed. Basically, this Polish guy in a van outside my house here 2 years ago, mounted the pavement, run over a girl. She pulled the pushchairs and little kids to save their lives out of the way, and he ran her over and killed her, a local girl. And how many did he kill that day? 3, wasn't it? He went up the avenue here, run over 2 more people, killing a girl from who was just married as well, and somebody else, an old age gentleman, all in one event, one day. Luckily enough, my mother was on holiday. She watched it on the BBC News in a hotel in Belgium. She's sitting there and my house is on the telly. The cameras were outside. The coppers knocking my door, to ask people if anybody had seen anything. I wasn't living here then, but terrible event. And there was blood on them after rain. On the slabs out on the drive out there was still blood on there after rain, weeks later. Stained into the concrete, into the tarmac, blood. So, yeah, again, no blood on these hoax attacks. So bad. Except for...
Our news is a joke.
It's an abomination. I don't know what they're playing at. They've admitted last week, I couldn't believe it when they were saying about the fake news. They've been faking it because it gets more views than the boring old, well, there wasn't much news today, actually, so we made up a story. But the one thing I got with these problems with the hoax attacks, Nathan, right, what I visualise is trying to keep all them crisis actors quiet. Now, they must have them bound over legally, but it must be something more. Because you think one of them, they've got to be untrustworthy people. So you think one of them would want to maybe sell their story to New York Times, maybe, or something. But they don't. None of them. Not one. So
I think it'd be more likely if what you're speculating was the case. I think it would be more likely that they'd done something prior that was wrong.
yes.
So that would more likely be the case, I would say. But again, we're totally speculating here. We've got no.
It would be something like that, of blackmail, early drop any charges against you, or something that they may even, through entrapment, do to them previous. Who's to say they don't play these games with people? They might.
Yeah, we'll lock you up for life, or you can go completely free, and every so often we'll ask you to do something. This is totally straight out of a movie plot, though. But I can see where you're going with it.
It's speculation, but there's the amount of people that were involved in the Melbourne attack. You can see this skyscraper is the hub. You can see them coming out with tissues, and you can see that it is the centre for operations. Now, you hear people laughing, it's just insanity. But a lot of the people that are dotted around on the sidewalk are actually part of this movie, and so that they can steer strangers if they stroll through. And the number of people is, in the dozens. I thought, well, and they got no paramedics have turned up for like 10 minutes or more after. There's just, people in the street holding their heads off the floor, crowding around them. Everything about it is so wrong. Well, once you watch it a few times, well, we know because there's a lady director directing the guy who's doing the donuts outside the central station there in Melbourne. And then he goes down there. She goes, yeah, down there. Clear as day. A director. And you can't deny this shit. It's not happening.
I mean, what in practical terms? I mean, you've got PK, poor sod. He's got his back up against the wall now. What can people like us do practically to help someone like PK in the position he's in? What support can we give him?
We get out and we get the truth. People post, get on the internet, and not be scared. There's power in numbers, strength in numbers. Okay, and we all know that. When you go out, you go in a crowd, you're safer. There's safety in numbers, so none of us can go astray. We're all kept and sort of looked after. Because that's dangerous. People going astray. Where did so and so go? Don't know. So yeah, something like that. What I'd like, Nathan, is some sort of badge, so flat earthers can identify one another in a crowd. Because walking through, the city, there could be flat earthers all around. All I know, how would we identify one another? We can't.
Martin, you don't need a badge for people to identify you as a flat earther. I assure you,
personally.
I've been out with you, mate. I know for a fact that everybody within about 100 yards of you knows precisely what shape the Earth is, as far as you are concerned. You don't need a badge.
I know. I can't wait to get my mouth sorted and get out there verbal. Oh boy. I'm a brilliant salesman. In my last job, they had me on the microphone with a big 4x12 and a valve amp every Saturday selling attic lorries for the furniture, just because I was good at it. And I was making tens of thousands of pounds on a Saturday.
I'm looking forward to seeing you in the Leicester Space Centre.
Yeah.
I'm conversing with the staff, and it should be a giggle.
It's going to be a hoot. Anybody's got to come see Flat Earth British in action with these people. All I'm Phil.
It's fun watching you though, because you just wind you up and off you go, and it's good fun.
I know exactly what I'm doing, Nathan. I just play these people. Like with what I've been doing at Cardiff Castle, which we put on that video, playing in that staff. This is the 4th decade I've been doing that.
I'm not saying it's yours.
Just for the sake of it. 40 years I've been doing it. I've been doing it since they stopped it when I was about 14. So 36 years I've been doing that. Just go in there every time I go to town. I'll go there and start on people at the door, just for the sake of it.
For people
It's
who
like
that don't understand, the Cardiff Castle was given to the people, and you have to pay to go in, even if you're a resident, which Martin is. And Martin's been campaigning for the last 36 years to correct that wrong. He should be able to go in. It's his castle. God damn.
Yeah, exactly that. It's my castle. And if I want to hang out in my castle, I should not have to pay. I've got a copy of the charter. I won't just wave it in their face like get it printed out. Read, man, read. Why don't you? A gift to the people of Cardiff, not Cardiff City Council, to make $1.
Have you ever got in?
I know what.
You ever got in for free?
Yeah, I did. There's a kiosk on the right-hand side, and I did exactly the same as what I did in the Colosseum, only I got caught there. I ducked under the kiosk, and just sort of walked like a dwarf, so they couldn't see me with my head popping.
That's different. That's sneaking in.
That's nicking in. I nicked into the Colosseum. I had hundreds of dollars in my pocket. I just did it for the sake of it, so I could brag and say I'm the first person in 2,000 years to get caught nicking in the Colosseum. Because I don't think with the price of it, anyone would bother. It's like, you know, everyone's a lira millionaire in them days, and a lira was like, I don't know, $1 million liras was like $100 or something, honestly. So they sent a guy who I called Weasel, chasing me around the Colosseum, trying to get money out of me, and I would just loads of money. I was just winding him up and giving him money, just for the sake of it, for the laugh. I gave it to him in the end. I told him to go and get a ticket and bring it back, and he did. I'm terrible, Nathan. But, you know, just for the fun of it. It'd be boring playing if I didn't play. I don't think.
So what's wrong with your mic? Why does it sound so terrible?
Fucking international rugby.
Is that really what you think is causing the problem? You've just got low bandwidth because everyone's using their computers to watch the rugby?
There was the 75,000 in the stadium, the 35,000 in the field watching it on the big screen, so there's 100,000. And the clubbers, must be 200,000 people bashing it in town, and they're all online. They're all on their phones. So yeah, it's that. Cardiff can't cope. Their servers are not big enough.
What about all the other times?
It always happens on a Saturday though, love. And it's Saturday club hour now.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Check your speed.
Let me check the task manager actually. See if you want CPU.
While you do that, I'll read out who you've got in your chat. So
Thanks.
you've got Barbie McGill.
I know I invited her.
Turquoise Dragon, Timaeus, Dor J. Jacker, Spec, who's in the show.
You get it wrong, Spec.
That's what I hear.
Yeah.
You got Victoria Sartin,
Oh, you said I agree.
Aldridge, Angel Raven 444. Also got Synthetic Dread. Have I missed anybody? Talcum X.
Markovsky.
Markovsky.
Yeah, Max.
That's we got. Have I missed anybody?
Ian Tinsley, Mistress Astrid, Talcum X. No, you said that.
Jay Woody, Satanic
What?
Light.
What did you just say?
Got Dick Earth in there.
Yay, Dick Earth Express.
I'm
Can I
gonna
disprove it?
can I read a few Dick Earth comments?
Yeah.
Got. Oh wow! About time the truth is coming out. And then we got the Earth is clearly an oblong phalloid. Let the truth set you free. And then
Nice.
the North Hole. I don't know what that's referring to. See if there's any more.
The North Pole.
I think that's
North
it.
Pole.
Yeah, I don't know about this Dick Earth. It's a difficult theory to swallow.
Oh, the best one, yeah. It is a mouthful.
Well, there is also a turquoise dragon mentioning breast earth. That's more, maybe more plausible.
I was going to say that last night, but I didn't want to upset you. I wanted to say, why can't we have a vag earth? But nobody would. Yes.
What? No. No, I like breast earth better than vag earth.
I mean, you could get two then. And we're in the bit in the middle.
2 earths, yeah. Double earth.
Oh, the nipple is not.
Yeah, the North Nipple, like synthetic dresses.
All this time it was staring me right in the face, literally. So, yes, I do like to hang around with friends because it makes for a better, more relaxing atmosphere, especially in hangouts. Because it can be stressful with things.
I want to put an extra special an extra special shout out to Markovsky because he says Nathan didn't shout me out. Nathan stinks.
That's a bit Mark.
A massive shout out to Markovsky. He's just the man.
He's a very good man, is Mark. And Christine Eldridge, who's named after a famous battleship, the HMS Eldridge from the Philadelphia experiment. I bet loads have told you that. Yeah. And Raven. Oh. Hey, love. 7 Raven Wolf. An Angel Raven. Weird.
Have we run out of things to talk about? Is that it? We've gone to chat.
I got loads. I had loads. I had videos all lined up and everything, and loads to talk about. But Ian Tinsley, big shout for Ian. Don't leave you up, Ian, ever.
Yeah, you're knackered for sharing things though. You've got terrible bandwidth. You can hardly hear.
That's why I haven't done it. Exactly that, Nathan. But yeah, I got loads to talk about.
Did Paula just come back? Is that Paula? Did she just come back?
Yes. Yeah, my video crashed.
Where do you do the rounds, Paula?
Oh.
I'm sorry?
Where do you do the rounds? I've only seen you sporadically around, so I don't know a great deal about you. That's all. I'm just trying to ask a very open question to get an idea about what you do.
Well, as far as the Hangouts go, I started back last year at Hillbillies, I think, and just been back there lately. There was a group of us with Brian and then some others of us that used to do Hangouts. I'm associated with Flat Earth Mafia, or Mania right now. They kind of not sure which one they want to call it, but Jibby's a good friend of mine, and we all mostly have been talking privately since things blew up at Hillbillies. There really hasn't been a lot of public hangouts, and then of course recently I was at Poncho's and that blew up. So I don't know, maybe I should stay out of them. So, but for what I do all day is I'm a web developer, working mostly retired, but working from home, and that's why I'm always on the computer. It's not I'm not just watching YouTube all day, but
come on.
Yeah,
right.
My channel is mostly, I started out just putting up things that I was tinkering with at home. A couple years ago, I watched some videos on how to make wood gas stoves out of tin cans, and so I tinkered with that and put up some videos. And then I have some bread making videos, and the rest are mostly Bible related, though I do have one that I was trying to figure out, to verify with experiment how light behaves on a sphere, whether it's internal, external, or where the shadows go, the difference between an eclipse and a phase, as far as just showing it with racket balls and a flashlight. And so that's about the closest thing I've done to an experiment or science video. But I also have some websites. I have one, I translated the New Testament. I'm no expert or anything, but I know how to use the tools. So, and I did that over a number of years just to deeply examine my faith and the text of the New Testament. And I just put it up for if anybody wants to read it. And I have a commentary and a couple of blogs that I don't do much with anymore since I've been on Hangouts. That kind of fell by the wayside. But I'm more a writer than I don't really like public speaking. I would prefer to write.
Oh.
But
You all right for it, Paula?
I'm sorry, I couldn't make out what you said.
You do good at public speaking, Paula.
Yeah, I would agree on that.
Oh, well, thanks. It's just not my. It's not my favorite thing to do. I just kind of fell into it, like about other things lately.
What do you mean you translated the New Testament?
I can give you a link. Let me. I guess I can put. Which chat do you want? I'll put it in the panel chat here, and you can go see it.
How do you mean you translated it?
What I did was I would be in these discussions and people would say, well, the Greek means this or that. It doesn't mean the other. And I found a lot of things that are, especially, of course, mostly English translations. I have a German Bible, too, that I check sometimes. But it just was very dodgy on some of the translation choices that just, my background is more in linguistics, mostly with English grammar. And so I understand grammatical terms. I understand how different forms of words can affect the meaning, how the punctuation can change the meaning. And so what I decided to do was take some self-study Greek courses so I could use the source material, such as an analytical lexicon, interlinears. I have the Little Scott Greek-English lexicon that, of course, is written in Greek. You don't have, the English transliterations. So I wanted to be able to use those tools. And what I did eventually, I never, it's not like I woke up one morning and said, I think I'll do the New Testament. It just sort of happened in bits and pieces. And eventually I finished it. But I just wanted to know the truth. That's how much I wanted to know it. And so it took, I don't know how many years. I even took a year off because I was so burned out because it's such a big hill to climb. But I'm glad I did it. And it's there if anybody wants to look at it. I have some other material too. But I can barely read, without, my vocabulary in Greek is very small. And so I could figure out some things, and I know a few words. I can recite the first 5 verses of John in Greek, but I still need a lot of reference material to get me through it. And as I didn't just consult that, I also consulted, I don't know, half a dozen or more English translations from different ends of the spectrum, such as very literal, woodenly literal, to very free paraphrase, to people coming from a very conservative background, a liberal background, several that were, had some very good notes by a lady in Australia named Anne Nyland, who is an expert in both classical and what they call Koine or Common Greek. She did a New Testament called The Source and had extensive footnotes that were really helpful. So yeah, it's been kind of my knowledge scavenger thing there. That's how I do things. The same with web design. I have degrees in programming and electronics, but what I know about web design, there was no web when I took programming, and it was just getting started. This was in the early 80s. So everything I learned for free online, and I scavenged for bits of code and bits of education wherever I could find it. So that's about the shortest version I can give you of where I'm coming from.
That's very cool. Very similar to my father. My dad was a programmer, and I remember back in the 80s him programming code on a BBC B, and getting all excited when he'd done his first line of code. And like you, just scavenged the data. That's really cool. He did translating as well. He even wrote a play about Tyndale.
Oh,
doing the translations. Fascinating stuff. And when he wrote the play, I'm obviously cut from the same wood, so he immediately focused on details that would be a bit more salacious. So he's describing Tyndale correcting the translation of the circumcision, and in the original or not in the original, in the versions that were out for the public consumption, if you will, just for the ease of this conversation. The story is massively elaborate with all sorts of people coming in and watching, and the words were really simplistic in the actual translation. It just said something like, the time came that the child should be circumcised, and that was it. But
Right.
the version the public gets is a huge tale and a great big elaborate story about that event, and it's nothing to do with the text.
That sounds interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. I like the name too, Knowledge Scavenger. It's catchy.
Thanks. Some people don't like it. They think of the negative connotation of scavenger, being something that looks for dead meat to eat. I just never considered that when I picked the name.
That's what
Yeah,
we're
I
going
don't
to do. We're all scavenging for knowledge.
Yeah, I always thought of it in terms of a scavenger hunt, I didn't think of it as a carrion bird or anything like that. I don't know where that coming from, but
Knowledge treasurer.
yeah. Oh, so you're an accountant then? I'd have to
So all that must have helped you quite considerably then in terms of language and, should I phrase it? Yes, why not? Spells and spelling and grammar. And,
yeah, that's one of those things that gets me, face palming, is when people will say, well, for example, spelling, it has to do with casting spells. And I'm like, no, it doesn't. Or connecting dots.
No, but yes, it does. You, in terms of the way you communicate with people, it's much more literal. Because when people say that, well, you're casting a spell, it's like into the fantastical. And it's like, no, it's much more literal than that. Words have power and, consequences. Yeah. And that is the spell. But it doesn't go beyond that in terms of anything mystical. It's just as literal as that. You can say something, you can string together. I like to use the cup of tea example. If my wife was here and I, in a nice enough tone, were to request a cup of tea, one would appear. Well, there's no puff of smoke, but that, if you want to look at it in that way, is a magic trick. I didn't have to do anything, and yet a cup of tea appeared just through a very few words being carefully chosen and in the right order.
Right. Yeah, I think intent is everything, as with many other topics too. It's just the intent. It's like if someone has a symbol on their T-shirt and they don't know that some obscure cult uses the symbol to communicate, and then therefore they're guilty of passing along this occult information. That's ridiculous. Like, it's absurd. And the people who buy these things, yes, it's good to try to educate people on things, but it's like the times I was in a alternative health message board for many years, and at the end of it I concluded there's nothing safe to eat, drink, or breathe, because everyone, you can find somebody who will find fault with the symbol or the word you used or something, and you meant nothing of the sort. And that's how communication goes so wrong. But I can see the point that yes, words are powerful, as Orwell made clear in 1984, where if you control language, you control thought. And that's what I see as a danger in text speak and so many abbreviations and things that people use now, because their thoughts become more limited. They don't know that there's anything beyond what we used to read in grade school, see, spot, run. That's what it's reducing to. But we are losing the subtleties of our language. And what spelling does is helps to clarify meaning in many cases, spelling and punctuation. As I said a little bit ago, you can turn the meaning of a sentence or passage completely upside down with a well-placed comma.
I was going to come on to that next, because that's the best one, because you can, as you say so eloquently, you can completely change the context. 1 comma.
Right. They do that. There's a passage in the Bible that's been used to bash women for all these years, that they, just by putting a comma and breaking a verse, they supply a verb that isn't there, that they make look forward to the next passage instead of getting it as the Greek requires from the previous passage, and turn the meaning inside out and upside down. And it's just, this is the study of language in general is very helpful because no matter what else you study, you have to know how to communicate and how to read what somebody else wrote, or, you know, and it's why we have such turmoil in chats all the time, because not only is it fast moving in a lot of cases, but it's also, there's so much missed context and missed understanding because typographical errors or spelling errors. And so spelling can work either way for you. It can do bad things, it can do good things. So I guess I kind of see it both ways as far as spelling being casting a spell, you know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah, people struggle to say what they mean and mean what they say.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go on a chat feed, people are trying to be as concise as they possibly can, and often they don't necessarily mean what they've actually written anyway.
Right, or like I said, when you read, especially, you put your own voice in the words and how you would feel when you express those words, whereas the other person probably didn't mean that at all. So, because I've been surprised and shocked many times at what I allegedly meant when I wrote something. You know, things I would never have imagined somebody could have gotten out of what I wrote. You know, it's just amazing.
I had a conversation with Dave Murphy, and he was talking about people who speak in legalese. And my wife studied law, and I've been through various court cases. And when you deal with those types of people, the caveats and the weasel words that they will put into a sentence are long, and you know, they go on and on and on and on because they need to tie up a lot of concepts in hyperbole. In other words, they don't want to be concise. They want to leave wiggle room, and you know that's where there's a narcissist term they use for this, word salad. You know, if you can get enough word salad in there, you can distort your intentions, and you can hide your bullshit really easily.
Right. Yeah, it's like Orwell said again, something about, I don't remember the whole sentence, but he said that some people use all these confusing words like a cuttlefish spewing ink. You know, it's meant to distract you and confuse you. And then this happens too with people in chats or any kind of written communication, where they will say, in it's conversation, and they will say things in such ambiguous terms that you can never pin them down. You can say, well, clearly, you know, given what was said just before that, you meant such and such, or you made an implication. And then later on, they can go back and, well, I never said that, you know, because it's a technicality and they can get away with it. And some people are very skilled at these ambiguities to the point where you can never, ever pin them down on anything they say, and they get away with it. And that's what politicians are all about. And
took the words out of my mouth. There's the politicians.
Yeah. I don't know if you, I was into progressive rock, and there was a band called Gentle Giant that I enjoyed listening to. And they had an album called, I think the album title was The Power and the Glory. And they ripped up the British royalty. And they're British, so it's okay. But they had a song that I remember a phrase from, that they're talking about politicians, and they say, you know, and the politician says yes, which is to say no, and just turn every phrase that you can think of from a politician that is double, you know, split tongue, forked tongue speaking, and so it's
double speak. I mean, one of my favorite shows is Yes Minister by far, and the Humphrey character in that is beautiful. The way he speaks is superb, because he can lose the meaning of something whilst giving absolute clarity. If you were to take apart what he's actually said, it does make sense. It is perfectly clear what he has said. If you were to write it down, you know, and go through each and every contextual meaning, and they spin things back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and you just go, oh, it's like bliss. It's like silk.
Even if you don't like somebody, if they are really good at what they do, it's fun to watch sometimes, as long as it's not hurting you. But that's the way it is. It's interesting to watch somebody tying another person in knots verbally just because they're skilled at it. It's just I don't know. It's a morbid fascination or something.
Yeah, it's also a psychopathic trait.
The tongue lashing.
Well, not just somebody tongue lashing, but manipulating them in such a skilled way that they don't even know it's happening. You know, it's backhanded insults or things that are going right over their head that they don't know they're being cornered or pushed into something. And it's a skill. I don't know. I guess it's just an admiration of highly skilled people, even if it's not being used well. You know what I mean? Not used as it should be.
Yeah, they can work in subtle hyperbole or innuendo, and often people won't spot that, and
Right.
it'll just slip them straight on by. You're very quiet, Martin.
No, I'm not. I'm interacting with the people in chat. Shout out to Patricia Steer in chat, and my friend and moderator, D-Truth. Special shout to D-Truth and everybody else in chat. Thank you. I was really enjoying that, Nathan. If I'm honest.
Yeah, we got Dorje asking, can we ask questions?
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely not.
want to ask questions? Absolutely not.
Which is to say, yes.
Just to say, of course.
By the way, and
Yeah, put them in all caps. Put the questions in all caps, and then yeah, sure thing.
Excellent.
We had an interesting.
I'm saying on behalf of Martin's Hangout.
No, it's definite. Brilliant.
What was the name of the guy we spoke to earlier? Zoe, was it Dangerous D or what
Yeah,
was his
Dangerous D. David.
I think his name was, but
Yeah,
Dangerous
okay.
D, the screen name. Fascinating chap. Fascinating.
Yeah, yeah, it's really nice. Nice to
I've
talk
not
to.
spoken to him yet, but I've been talking to him the last few weeks. He seems really nice.
Yes.
Really lovely guy. Really, really nice. And as you know, as you do, you chat about how long you've known about Flat Earth for, and he's like, oh, about 3 years. I was like, is he just saying that because it's just a long period of time and it seems that long, you know, Flat Earth years sort of thing? Not at all. He was like, no. Back in the day, I was checking out this oil rig that's off my coast, and he started explaining it all to us, and we were like, wow, geez, you know, you've come to the conclusion the Earth is flat before stumbling on a Math Powerland video or whatever everyone else's story is. It was like, that's really interesting. But yeah, the guy got a really, really interesting backstory. So he'd been like a model, and he'd been in a band as a drummer that was famous, gone out touring with other bands, and you know, lived the full-on rock and roll lifestyle. And when he got in touch, he's a mate of Dorje's actually. So he'll probably be referenced going, yeah, that's my mate.
Yeah,
but
great
he's-
Flat Earth friend, Dorje says.
He said to me he was his friend. I thought, oh, cool. So, wow.
really, really sweet guy. But he knows, he was telling us about some of his YouTube buddies, and he's like, oh yeah, I know this girl. I can't remember her name, but a fitness channel. And he was saying, you know, something like 700,000 or 800,000 subscribers that she's got, and you know, she's earning about, I don't know, something like, I can't remember the figure, some exorbitant amount of money on YouTube. But you know, it's like, wow, bloody hell, there's people out there that do actually earn a good living off YouTube. That's amazing. Yeah, but he was telling us about her and a few other people that he's known through his rock and roll life. Cool, man. I love it when that comes out of the blue. When he introduced himself, that was what I was going to say. He says, "Oh, I've got Dangerous D as my screen name because I'm anything but." And you're like, "Oh, so it's because you're not dangerous. Oh, you're just, you know, a sweet normal guy." And then you talk to him, he's like, "Yeah, I used to be on a bottle of Jack a day, and those days are behind me now." And you're like, "Whoa."
That's when he was a heavy metal.
Oh, what was the band name? What was the band? Tell you the name. You ever heard of them?
I did write it
Dark
down.
work. What was it?
Oh, heavy metal though, is it?
I can't remember. Oh.
Why not?
Yeah,
know
it's
that?
heavy metal.
No, I won't know that.
But I
From
have
the
a question for Dorje
1890s.
Daka. Am I pronouncing your name right when I say Dorje, or you say yes when I say Dorje? Is that how you pronounce it? Yes or no?
I'm doing it right, so.
Or is it Dorje? Dorje. Ah, well,
I'm saying George, and that's it.
George Daka.
Dorje.
Dorje. Okay, thank you.
So Patricia Steer put it in the chat. She was chatting with him as well, and it was 20k, £20,000. This girl doing fitness videos a month. This girl. So when he told me, he was like, "Yeah, 20 grand." I was like, Yeah, man, that puts it into perspective, because 20 grand, you know, it's more than minimum wage, but you've got to obviously put a lot of work into your YouTube channel, and really you're just on a normal wage, and 20 grand's not really that much. He was like, no, 20 grand a month. I was like, oh.
10 to 20, yeah.
Yeah, I seen a YouTube.
Obviously variable. 10 to 20 grand a month from a YouTube channel. Isn't that amazing? And his me and Patricia justifying like a couple of $100, going, it's okay to monetize Flat Earth. Yeah, right. Do fitness videos, 20k. What? Go harass her with pitchforks.
God, I seen a teenage kid from Britain, and he had 1.5 million subs. He was getting views of over 1 million. Okay, his content 5 minutes short, rubbish. Okay, and he was sponsored by Audible, the book people. So you have to do a little ad, and that is incredible, isn't it? And he was absolutely rubbish. I'm not joking, no content.
Yeah, man.
Boring. I was like, oh God, get on with it already. 5 minutes. And I was like,
I've seen people with a couple of million subs, and you know, it's normally because of an autoplay thing. You just come back to the TV and it's played through, and you end up on some garbage. And it'll be some couple of, I don't know, late teens, early 20s walking down the street talking about what they're doing with a selfie stick, and yeah, we're going to go into this shop now and buy makeup, and then it cuts to them back outside, and yeah, we went and bought this makeup, and that's the end of the vlog. You're like, wow, that was a load of crap. How many views has this garbage had? What? 5 million views? What?
what's going on?
Like, oh my God. Yeah, people like crap.
Okay, Dorje says, can we have a Flat Earth UK? Can we have a UK Flat Earth tour?
A UK Flat Earth tour?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I don't see why not.
Town, conference in each town, Dorje, is that what you're saying?
What?
I think he just means a beer run, doesn't he? Does he just mean going
No.
Flat Earth tour, Cardiff, Bristol, Birmingham, Manchester. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll have, yeah.
Tour for what, though?
Flat Earth. Talk about it, presentations.
Yeah.
Flat Earth
Oh, I see. Okay.
people. I could do that. I could do a presentation.
You do it whether people want it or not.
Yeah.
You're out there presenting to them all night, all day long.
Yeah, I know. Which is why it's perfect for me.
What else we got in the chat then? Who else is asking anything? Let's have a look. Oh, no questions at all. Not that I can see.
Dorky says need speakers for a presentation.
Oh, Synthetic Dread's got a great idea. Says, okay, Flat Earth workout videos.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah.
Who's on it?
No.
So you could do jumping jacks and say with me, Earth is flat.
Flat.
Go on, girls, pump those muscles.
Yeah.
We are not spinning. Now let's do a little turn.
I'm just pasting the questions in the side chat in this window.
Oh, thanks, Beck.
Yeah, what is the difference between the law of the land and the law of the sea? Well, like I said, it's probably better to ask Isa that question. He can probably give you a much better answer than any of us
I
can.
don't you understand maritime law? They don't explain it on the land. Why would you understand maritime law? Plenty. It comes into action when you're 3 miles out, and then it's international waters, and no country can arrest you. The captain can marry you, operate on you, and do anything. The laws under the jurisdiction of the registration of the vessel. So if all the crew are, say, German, but the vessel's registered to Liberia or Montevideo or something obscure like that, then it will be responsible to that government. And there's all sorts of weird laws that comes in. You could be shot, you could be locked in the brig, which is a cell down below, all sorts of laws come in that don't exist on dry land. If you commit a murder in the country and you go on a ship and the ship goes 3 miles out, they could, even if they could see the ship from the coast, they couldn't arrest you because you're in international waters. I know that from the film Tiger Bay.
Got a question from Talcum X. Why do you suppose there are very few flat Earth mathematicians?
Because we turn our back on academia, and it's just one doesn't sit with the other. It's not what we're doing. We're using critical.
I think it would be impossible, would it not? Because to be a flat Earth mathematician, well, you couldn't. You just get to the peer review stage and you can forget it. So you're never going to have anybody who could say, "I'm a flat Earth a professional mathematician who's a flat earther," and doing it as that is my profession, a flat Earth mathematician. I don't think that's possible. Maybe I'm wrong.
Now, Turquoise says, law of sea is guilty till proven innocent. Law of the land, innocent till proven guilty. Yeah.
I think it's interesting that supposedly a U.S. Congressman or somebody had introduced a bill to move from admiralty law to common law. So I think that's interesting that even a bill like that even exists. There's some hope when you hear things like that, although nothing will happen, but at least it's got to the public level. So we'll see where that goes.
And a lot of it has to do also with the flag they're flying. So if you're flying an American flag, then I believe that's where there's additional laws and statutes based on the flag you're flying. That's why the pirates would, show other flags, and then they would have their own saying, "Look, man, we're not accountable to no one."
Yeah, the Star Spangled Banner is a wartime flag.
Yep.
Matrix Decode says, I think Gavin from Beyond the Imaginary Curve has a maths degree. Yes, he does. I'm sure he does.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that somebody can't have a maths degree and be a flat earther. What I'm saying is you could be a professional flat Earth mathematician, because to be that, you'd have to go through peer review, and they wouldn't allow you to be defining it in that way. So yeah, I'm not saying that you couldn't be all degreed up and still say the Earth is flat. That's absolutely possible.
Yeah. Synthetic Dread, why do you think there are so few astrophysicists, like 2,000 worldwide?
I'm guessing it's because they know it's not a science. They know that it's not. It's all made up. I mean, there are certainly better things if you went to all that work and money to get a math degree that you could use than astronomy, because it's all guesswork.
There was like an article I read somewhere, and I don't have it, but a lot of those theoretical departments took a hit during the downturn. So they went with more of the natural sciences and stuff like that. But I think Patricia had a question too, and she asks, what caused people to stop looking at the skies, and when did this happen in history?
Interesting. Cities.
I'm guessing the Industrial Revolution has something to do with that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I'm going to go with TVs.
I was going to say TVs.
Okay.
But it's more extreme nowadays.
Doing what I'm doing now with the chat. Same with the CRT tubes. You're glued to the thing.
So since the 50s, then.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think. I mean, I personally think that a lot of the weirdness really started around that era. The World War II and on is when things kind of got really weird. I mean, Aleister Crowley. You got all the shenanigans with the Nazis and Antarctica treaty, all sorts of stuff. That's when I can pinpoint a lot of stuff.
I mean, Victor says it's when people got cell phones, and in a way, I kind of agree with that, because as you see people on the street often not even looking where they're going because with their cell phones right in front of their noses. And this is when they should be interacting with life.
Yeah, my daughter actually got run over by a truck because she was looking at her phone.
Yeah, I did.
Luckily, nothing bad happened. She just hurt her arm a little, but she still has, not problems with it, but you can still feel that something happened.
Did you say her arm got? She can still text, okay, though, right?
yeah, no sweat. Don't worry, I'll do it. But yeah, that was a wake-up call for her, definitely.
Yeah, I see it all the time. People just walking around with headphones on or appearing to be talking to themselves on their Bluetooth headsets and stuff. And you just think, man, you're out in the fresh air.
Yeah. Yeah, people walking with their dogs. I see it every day, looking at their phones instead of enjoying nature. And yeah, I always leave my phone at home when I go for a walk with the dogs. So I treat it much like a home phone.
Yeah, it's just enabling that distraction, mentality of, concentrate. I mean, like if you go to a doctor's office, how many people are sitting there waiting on the doctor and they're just looking at their phone. And it's weird because I won't. I force myself not to because it's weird. You don't want to interact with anyone. Someone's got their head down. Usually that's the stance of someone who's like when you're sad or agitated, but yet you got a phone that you're screwing around with, and your posturing has a lot to do with your emotions and health even, just having a good posture.
Yes.
It's really weird. It's bizarre.
Yeah, and you walk by people on the sidewalk, they're standing and waiting for the bus. And normally, in the old days, you come walk and they would sense that you wanted to come past them and they would move away. But because people are preoccupied with their phones, they're not aware of their surroundings. So they just, so you have to ask them, "Excuse me, can I pass, please?" It's just very strange.
Yeah, or the people that are like actually talking on their phone to someone, and then they're like in a convenience store or something. And, the poor cashier is trying to, give, her spiel on whatever she's got to upsell or whatever. And the guy's on his phone at the exact same time. And at one point, at a certain point, it would be like, oh, hold on. And then they would deal with the transaction. But now I'm starting to see people just straight up ignore the person, hand them the money, hand them the card, and it's totally just trying to get you away from, well, it does get you away from that human interaction. And I don't know, that's bad news. That's real bad news.
Yeah, smart buggers. They're not separated enough. Let's give them cell phones.
So Dorje Jaka makes a nice point, or sort of makes a nice point. He says, I don't have Facebook on phone, and Facebook to me is total poison. I only use Facebook to punt my videos. In other words, I'll click the share button, it'll go to Facebook. But generally speaking, I try as hard as possible to keep well away from Facebook. And I put this caveat in now because you've got people like Carly Sunshine who do a wonderful job on Facebook with Flat Earth. But I just find the platform itself toxic as all hell. YouTube's no real difference, if I'm honest. But, I like videos. But Facebook isn't primarily aimed at videos, so you can see why I've made that choice. But generally speaking, when you say about people hunched over, looking at their phone, that is, as you say, that's the kind of position you're in when you're in a bit of, when you're a bit depressed or a bit miserable or exhausted, whatever, and you see these people hunched over their phones, just poison, looking at Facebook, endlessly posting about crap.
Yeah, I remember when it was back in 2008, and I had a boyfriend, and he was just getting into Facebook and making up his profile, and it was at a time where he said, "Oh well, it's very special. You have to be invited." And I said, "I hope you realize that thing is gonna eat you alive." Yeah, I know. I was pretty addicted. I'm not so much on Facebook anymore. I mean, really, I forget it, and that's really great.
Yeah, but think about everything that's kind of tied into it. Is you got the Pavlov's dog of the the notification, and then you have you know, obviously you can hide all. I mean, you're not going to show pictures of your two kids, you know, pulling each other's hair and stuff. So it's basically kind of a shallow persona of your day to day, and then you almost feel obligated to provide that because, you know, Sally and her husband just had the perfect marriage. Look at them; they look so happy. You know what I mean? And I don't know about you, but when I was on Facebook, I was getting like semi-depressed. You know, I'm like, well, shit, that, you know, they're even just taking pictures of their food, and I was getting upset. I'm like, hey, man, that looks tasty. How come I wasn't invited? You know what I mean?
Yeah. They do.
Yeah, sometimes you go in there and a lot of bad news. Also, yeah.
Yeah. Trouble.
I mean, aside from all the fake, superficial stuff. You know.
Well, I don't know. I'm just bitter that my fake superficial stuff did get enough thumbs up. Let's read this comment. Where is it? Oh, it's, damn it. Oh, here we go. This is from Seven Raven Wolf.
Yeah,
Some shops are now putting a sign saying people on cell phones won't be served. And then immediately after, Mark obviously says, unless they're paying by phone.
Man, cracks me up. Oh, man. It's a good point, actually.
Yeah, like what's this Eternal Padawan? I use Facebook to try to wake people up, and there's a few groups I like. Yes, I completely agree. I've used Facebook for that same purpose as well, which I believe that a lot of us have been doing. You know, that's why we've been on Facebook, to say, dudes, guys, chemtrails, fluoride, Federal Reserve, 9/11, everything. Wake up. And it has helped. There's no doubt. I really do think that yeah, a lot of people have been reached with Facebook, so it hasn't been completely toxic. I mean,
it's like the whole internet, a double-edged sword. But I stayed away from it for a long time, hoping other people would, you know, try to lead by example and get other people to leave. And I said, you know, remember the days when you had your own website and you could subscribe to somebody else's website if you wanted to, quote, follow them, and you could put ads on your own site and get the money from it instead of giving it to Facebook.
Yeah.
But nobody cares, and eventually you have to resign yourself to the fact that this is where people are, and if you want to reach people, you have to go there, even though it's a cesspool. And you know, some people think that if you're on Facebook, you have automatically agreed to be in every fight club there is, you know, that you're in a debate club now and that you should talk about everything to everybody. And eventually you just, you know, you have to block people. But for what it's worth, whether they have you blocked and don't ever see it, at least you're trying to put out a message of some sort. And so I just, you know, I have to realize, face reality in this regard, that if you want to reach people, you have to go where they are, even if they're in a stupid place.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the other interesting thing is, as well, is that, you know, everyone asks me if I use Facebook. I'm like, no. And then they ask me why. And they really do look at me like I just told them the earth was flat. And I just kind of have a negative tone to it anyways. But the number one reason is that I can stay in contact with people in my family that, you know, have been displaced or whatever. And that's the catch. You know, that's how you get caught up into these marketed. I mean, they make money off this. It's not free. You're giving them free data, you know, that they're selling. What I find is that it's the most antisocial way to show someone that you care. You know, I mean, they even did a study where they just looked at characters. You know. They looked at Japanese writing and cuneiform and all this stuff, and certain letters, and even in certain languages, you know, the letter had a double meaning. It'd be like in the shape of a house or of a vine or something like that. and that was to also implicate like mood and stuff. And when you look at that, the text that we all look at, and it's always sans serif, so they got rid of the serif with its nice curve, you know, that is kind of calming. They give you the, you know, the straight black text, and one, you know, just on a, you know, subatomic level in your brain, you interpret that just, it's weird. It's not as homely as like in cursive where you would write your family. You took time out of your day to write them, or to call them, or to set up a trip or something like that. And my argument is that if you aren't willing to do that, and the best you can do is thumbs up their lunch, then are they really your friends? Are they really your family at that point?
Mm.
I mean, I don't even remember the last time I wrote on paper, and they say that's cathartic too.
Yes, it's oh, I do my best to write on paper as often I
do all the
can.
time.
You don't write on paper? I've got hundreds of notepads.
How I mean.
That used to be part of like you know, Japanese culture with you know, their paintings of the letters and stuff. It was soothing. It was like to edify them, and almost kind of like a meditation.
Yeah.
And then they would hang that stuff up on their walls and look at it, and you know, they would remember what. It's just really bizarre how intangible we're making our humanity right now.
Yeah. Seven Ravenwolf says, check out lyrics to songs on Diamond Dog's album. Very telling.
Okay, I will.
So I've never been to a conference or a meet and greet. Is there anything that you would like? You guys, could you describe the process or what it's like there, or like when you run one versus going to a conference? You guys neither, huh?
No. Not been to a conference.
We've only done like Flat Earth mixers, haven't we, Matt?
Yeah. I've been to quite a few meets. Yeah. They're good.
Yeah, there was the one in the Netherlands. Was it last summer? Yeah. No, I would love to go to the one in November, but yeah, I'm probably not going to be able to afford it anyway. So
This one in Holland and Belgium, is it? I thought that was in April.
okay, yeah, I don't remember.
Cheeky just said April. Yeah, that's the Flat Earth event. I don't really know the name or what even country it's based in, so I can't really state much about it, if I'm honest. Plans for Leicester, Dorje is asking. Ethan?
Say again, what was the question?
What are the plans for Leicester?
Meet up at about lunchtime and go around the Space Centre. That's it.
That'll be enough.
Yeah. I mean, it's more about the social aspects, obviously. The main purpose is to take the piss out of some fake stuff. That's it.
Tap things to see how thick they are. Test them.
Yeah, or just point and laugh.
Take photographs.
Yeah, just be a laugh walking around somewhere that's blatantly, you know, full of nonsense and point out nonsense.
It's going to be awesome.
Just for fun. Just for fun. Not expecting to globe any, you know, convert any globe heads by what we produce when we're there. If anybody does produce any video, you never know, do you? It might not be appropriate to. You might not be, you know. Sometimes you're there with a load of people and you're just caught up in the moment. You don't take any footage because you're just having fun, and you go, "Oh, that was wonderful." Oh, no one else is going to ever share that, you know. But that's sometimes how it goes.
Yeah.
And for the people who are there, they have the best of time. That's all that matters.
You're right. Yeah, it'd be good.
I think it'd be weird, man.
Place. Go ahead, Spectre.
I just said I think it'd be weird. Just, you know, maybe I'm just too much of a, you know, introspective person or isolated or whatever. But I don't know. I'd feel weird. I'd be like, man, did I wear the right shirt? You know, I'd be all nervous and stuff.
Honest. Oh, things like that. I'm just pleased to meet other flat earthers. I've got to be honest, it's a real joy. You've got plenty to talk about. You all think the same way, so that's a real good thing.
I mean, the things that stuck in my mind from the Oxford meet were getting there and then hearing a few people say, "Have you seen the guy from Antarctica? Have you spoken to the guy from Antarctica?" You go, "What guy from Antarctica?" You go, "That guy over there, that guy." And you go, "Really?" And I went up to Robert Shortman. "How you doing, mate? You know, what's your story? I hear you've been to Antarctica." And then I filmed that little piece with me and him. It was halfway through the video about the Oxford meet. But I can remember having goosebumps when that happened. Just going, because the camera's rolling, you have no idea what the person's going to say, but they're telling you about being in Antarctica for 12 months and saying, "Oh no, absolutely, I'm a flat earther. Yeah, total nonsense." And you're like, "Oh," you know, you don't know that's going to happen, but it did. It was cool as all hell.
That's wild.
Yeah, Robert's always busy this time of year. He's like disappeared off the radar completely. I mean, he still keeps in touch. I spoke to him the other day. He was just like, "Yeah, so busy," because he's a plumber, you know. And it's cool because, you know, when he came on the scene, that was such a big deal, and yet he's just a guy, he's the same as everyone else. You know, he's doing his plumbing at the moment. He's probably, you know, under someone's sink as we speak. You know, sorting out some problem or fitting a boiler, I don't know, whatever he does on his day to day. But at this time of year, obviously it's cold, he's busy. So, you know, see you later. See you in the spring. Hopefully. You never know, he might come. If you're watching this, Robert, hopefully see you in Leicester.
Yeah. Love to see you there, Robert, if you do. It's not that far from Cambridge.
That's nice. That's something nice about Flat Earth. You know, it's not just this, you know, with people like Zoe. I've never met Zoe, but you know, I definitely describe Zoe as a friend. There's no other way, there's no other words to describe that. It's a friendship. And when you meet someone like Robert Shortman, same principle applies, you know, instantly you warm to them and go, "You're a nice person." You know, and then you end up keeping in touch with them and, you know, seeing them around. That's a pretty amazing thing to just have happen off the back of Flat Earth. You know, obviously there's people going out and doing meet and greets and meeting in bars all day long every day, but you don't often meet somebody and just a few of their words give you goosebumps. You know, and 50,000 other people.
Yes, I completely agree, Nathan. It's yeah, aside from just the magnitude of finding out about the shape of the earth, but you also meet so many lovely people, and yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah?
Sorry.
no,
Oh, I was thinking about it the other day, and that you know, regardless of how it ends up, because I personally don't think we're ever going to find out. I don't even know if we can, or anyone knows for that matter. But regardless of whatever it was, my life has changed a lot. You know, not only through the the weird, you know, social experiment that is going on right now, and just, you know, kind of getting a feel for people and how people interact and social stuff. But it's a net gain for me, regardless. Even if I have to make a video and say, well, you know, I finally got the flat earth tattoo and found out that, you know, it's not, you know, and do the apology video, it would still be a net gain because of the people I met. I look at the stars now. Before I never looked up. Now all I can do is, you know, every night I go and I check out the moon and just see what he's up to. And, you know, one, knowing that I can be deceived. Two, knowing I can be manipulated through social mechanics. I mean, it's a net gain. So there is no loss in this endeavor.
I agree.
I feel sorry for the people who won't entertain it. It's too bad.
Or the people that do entertain it, but ultimately still end up miserable.
Mm-hmm.
There's all the other aspects connected with Flat Earth, you know, the breaking down of the New World Order and everything else, true or not, is definitely happening. The reality of the enslavement of the human race. I'd just like to plug on that alone is enough. Just that knowledge alone is enough to keep me going.
Oh yeah. I mean, I didn't want to grow my own food until I got into this stuff, or get off the grid, or eat better, or not take certain you start thinking of things and you're like, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Why am I taking these chemicals that someone said was good, and they whipped up in a bathtub somewhere? I don't want that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, that should be a impact. I don't know, but for me,
Fluoride. Zoe mentioned it earlier. Did you come to fluoride before or after Flat Earth? Or maybe you haven't already?
I haven't yet. I don't know how, to be honest. I mean, I could go buy the, and Patricia did this in her show the other day. She's like, I still take showers, and what are you going to do? I mean, how can you really limit that?
True.
So I almost had it as something to ignite me to be healthier, so it doesn't tear me up as much or have that much effect. But yeah, you should get a filter if you can afford it, and it's reasonable and convenient or whatever. I don't know. It depends on the person, but for me, I haven't found something that would work.
Directly putting fluoride into your body is probably a bigger thing that you could do just by changing brands of toothpaste.
Yeah, I mean, they say you absorb a lot of your, the salts and the chemicals in your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one thing I found out is if you go to a health food store, that you cannot count on something that says it's organic, that it's going to be clean and fully organic, because there's so many organic companies that are not completely integrative. They will, for example, have SLS, sodium lauryl sulfate, in their shampoos and their soaps and cream, all sorts of things. So sodium lauryl sulfate is endocrine disruptor, and it's the only thing. It's the thing that makes soap foam, and it doesn't have any cleaning effect whatsoever. And they will also have that in toothpaste. So I was buying a toothpaste with no fluoride, and this is so good, and then one day I was looking at it, because I was in blind trust. I was thinking, this is good, this is great, I'm doing such a good thing here. But then I looked at it and it had SLS in it. So yeah, okay, I'll have to find another brand that doesn't have that in it too. So yeah, you just have to, it's very easy to get toothpaste without fluoride, but it might still have SLS or other stuff in it. The fewer ingredients, the better.
Yeah, I checked exactly that. You said this to me about a week ago, so I checked, and you were absolutely spot on. And I'd bought a couple of different brands of fluoride-free toothpaste, and the first one I got, as you say, the noticeable difference was that it was non-foaming, and it didn't behave the same way I expected it to.
No.
And so I was like, I don't really like that. And then so I changed and bought a different one. And I was like, oh, great, this one's all foamy, like I know. And then you look into why and go, geez, yeah. You don't expect it. You just think, I've bought this from a health food shop. It costs double the price, if not triple the price of any other toothpaste. Surely it says on it organic this and all the rest of it. Nah, not at all. Nonsense.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like that with a lot of things.
Well, isn't everything organic to an extent? I mean, chemicals.
Yeah, it's silly to call it that.
Yeah, I think that's a marketing ploy.
Yeah, the marketing wank is strong in the organic industry.
Yes, unfortunately, but it just means that you have to be extra aware, extra vigilant, and completely take responsibility yourself, and not trust the companies, because they are still companies. Did I turn off my microphone? No. Okay.
Tap, tap, tap. Is this thing on?
Well, yeah, tap, tap. Hello. Yeah, I mean, I see a lot of people in the supermarket, and what they put on the what do you call it? They go up to the cashier and they put their items on there, and and well, not that I've ever talked to anyone about it in the supermarkets, saying what I would want to say, looking at a mother and her child, and the child looks all pale and sickly, and you see what's on the what do you call it? The thing that rolls by, the what, conveyor belt? Yeah, and you think, well, no wonder, white bread and Coca-Cola and all sorts of, really completely lacking of nutrition things. And their excuse will always be, oh, well, organic is so expensive. Oh, well, there's, you just have to prioritize differently. I mean, you can use hundreds of dollars or pounds or kroner on all sorts of shit, but you're not willing to use good money on good food. It's very funny how people can justify why they don't buy organic. And yes, of course, we can also say, well, is there any organic food really because of chemtrails? Well, no, but it's still not sprayed with, well, it is sprayed with poison, but it's, at least it's not intentionally sprayed with poison like pesticides and stuff. Yeah, so no matter if we grow our own vegetables in the garden, they will still be sprayed from the skies, but it's still better than buying sprayed food or ordinary food in the supermarket.
Yeah, at this point, you're only limiting harm, right? You're just being proactive in how much harm you're actually exposing yourself to.
Yeah.
Yeah, Paula said that earlier. Pretty much everything, if you look into it far enough, you'll find out that everything's toxic.
That's the law of entropy in play.
That's one of the words I have to look up.
Entropy.
Yes.
It just means the going from order to disorder, or simply put, decay. Something decays.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's a natural law, and I find it interesting that most humans think that they're not subjugated to it. That somehow because we have intellect, that we are beyond that, or it doesn't apply. But yeah, society decays. Everything decays at a certain point. There's nothing that doesn't.
Interestingly, even facts. So there's a thing called the half-life of facts, and this was analysed on a show called QI, which is quite popular here in the UK. And they basically took their own show as an example, and the way the show runs is each season they will pick another letter of the alphabet, and they were up to, on this particular one, I think it was M, they were looking at the moon and the libration of the moon and things like that. Anyway, they took the original series, so series A, and looked at some of the things that they had quoted as facts, absolutely undisputable, this is a fact. And I think they were saying something like 60, 70, whatever percent, a huge percentage of what they'd said on the first show, in fact, has now been falsified, is now no longer a fact, is actually incorrect. And that's true for everything. There's a half-life for facts. And at the time, there was Jo Brand on the show, and she was quick to point out there is no such thing as a fact.
That's correct, because all it has to do is not do what it is or says it's going to do one time, and no one's going to be able to do it for infinite amount of times. It's all through statistics at a certain point, So
I would just wanted to add that when it comes to standard scientism, they're very proud of the fact that their facts are always changing. They think, well, yeah, we're not dogmatic. We're going to, roll with whatever the latest discovery is, and what's true today may not be true tomorrow, and that's a good thing because we're always, updating our knowledge. And yet at the same time, if you don't accept what they are teaching as dogma today, they get very upset with, and want to excommunicate you and call you anti-science and whatnot because you're not believing today's facts, which they're very proud may be different tomorrow. It doesn't make any sense for them to get upset about it.
Yeah, they have to be falsifiable.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I thought I had my mic off. Huge cough.
Yeah, that's all we're doing. We're just falsifying what are accepted facts. That's fairly simple stuff, and you would think it would be praised. Au contraire.
And that's the problem with Big Bang and evolution. They're not falsifiable. They simply keep bypassing the theory and inventing things like dark matter because their math said that 95% of the mass of the universe was missing, therefore it must be undetectable, but it's got to be there because the formula and the theory says so. But that makes it unfalsifiable and by definition not scientific. So I don't know how they can, well, they do it by hoodwinking people and using peer pressure and shame, but no, they can't falsify their theories.
They're using mathematics to define reality rather than explain it.
Right.
What a terrible world we live in. Still, I think life's pretty sweet.
It can be, if you let it. You get to decide, and I that's the thing that I'm not good at. I think it really is like what Martin says. It's programming your mind instead of having, programming your mind from the internal out instead of the external in. And it's like a constant battle, and I think you have to exercise it as well. It's like a muscle.
Exactly. Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah. Be conscious of what filter you're looking at life through. Is it that, oh, poor me. Oh, life is such, it sucks. Oh, and everybody's so mean. The whole world is going down. Yeah.
No, don't think like that.
No, I still think life is pretty amazing.
It is.
I mean, not being blind to all this bad stuff, but and it will. I mean, over the years, I of course, in looking into all what's going on in the world, you do get depressed at a point. But it's like a roller coaster. You go down into the valleys and you come up again. If you can try not to get so I don't know what's the word.
Depressed.
Yeah, you just have to remind yourself that it's getting better every day, even though it's getting worse every day. No, but there are actually more and more people that are becoming aware of what's going on in the world. So at some point it will have a tipping point. And that's what I believe.
I don't know if I concern myself so much with that, though. I know we've been talking a lot about, there's more people and all the rest of it, but, I can't remember which show I said this on, but you've only got the power of one. So, if I can flip what I said earlier about me saying your faith or your belief, good for you, but you flip that around and go, well, am I content with my beliefs? Am I happy with what I know and where I'm going and what I'm doing? If you kind of internalize it a little bit, then you can then not necessarily worry about what other people think in the same way as you shouldn't, in my humble opinion, force your beliefs on other people as facts. Well, you can internalize your own well-being, and some people will internalize it and go, yeah, the world's terrible. It's like, well, your world will be terrible then. I'm not saying I say my life's wonderful just so that makes it wonderful. That's genuinely how I feel, but that's through doing things that I like and not doing things I don't like. But that's nothing to do with anybody else. There are often times that people force them, their sphere interacts with mine whether I want it to or not. And yeah, you have to deal with those as and when they come along. But generally speaking, you are the one with the responsibility for your own happiness and no one else.
Exactly.
And I think it goes. It kind of goes down to the whole thing where people say knowledge is power. So yeah, you have knowledge in the Bible, and you might believe that, but wisdom is application of knowledge. And with the wisdom of application, you have something produced. So if you're doing that internally, you know what I mean? If you're believing that, and then you're applying whatever you've gained or learned or whatever from yourself or about yourself, and you're like, oh, well, you know, maybe I should say, you know, hold the door open for someone, you know, at the next, you know what I mean? It's, you have to put effort into it, because that's how you apply something, is with energy, and you'll have something in return, a tangible. But this knowledge just sitting in my living room doesn't do anyone any good. It's wasted power. It's potential power.
Yeah, but the power that we're having exercised over us is an illusion. So we have, if you take the productivity example you've just given, if you look at something like the science behind the television set, the outcome is the television set. You know, the science behind it is, when it was being explained to people, they're like, well, what does that mean? What use is it? Until you get an actual product or a useful thing. Whereas if you look at someone like NASA, there's plenty of inventing going on. There's plenty of creating going on. But what do we get out of it? Well, we don't get what we expect. We get cartoons and nonsense and bullshit and lies. So you go, well, that's also in the same exact region as all of the productivity sciences, the ones that will generate an actual thing that's useful at the end of it, that has a practical application. But not so with the rockets and the stuff going up there. You know, what do we get out of it? What, Velcro and microwaves, really? A filtration system for a toilet in space? Well, that's not got any practical application, I'm afraid. You know, Velcro, yeah, of course it has. But what does that have to do with the giant flaming firework that they send up and give us on TV, only to be followed by cartoons? You know, that part of science doesn't give us anything useful. We don't get a television set at the end of it, or an iPhone at the end of it.
Yeah, and that's the improper use. You know, it's still wisdom because you're applying it, but not all wisdom is used for good or good, and that's also relative. You know, like you take an atheist Rex and you'd be like, yeah, right on, toilets in space, I'm going to need that when I get off this place after, you know, all you guys kill yourselves. You know, I mean, that's the kind of mentality a lot of people have. I mean, I'm not going to say they're inherently evil, but I'm saying men are inherently fallible, and you know, a lot of it has to do with, you know, the stuff that we've been talking about. You know, who's conditioning them? Are they conditioning themselves? Are they aware? You know, all sorts of stuff.
Wow. So the cognitive dissonance is such that they would convince the future faking to the degree that, wow, future toilet might be useful, so therefore that's a really useful use of 50 million, or, well, no, that's probably a drop in the ocean, 200 million, you know, for that thing that's come out of the Americans' pockets.
He basically said that on my channel, yeah, because I was going in that same tirade. I'm like, how about we make this place better? Why are we exploring anywhere outside of this place? You know, there's starving people. There's not only that, you know, everyone's in debt. My country's in debt. You know, how about we tighten the belt a little, and, you know, maybe not send a rocket every however often, or, you know, maybe we don't have 3 dudes on there. Maybe we can save some money on lunch and, you know, feed some kids here. You know, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, what is it, 50 million a day that they're spending?
Yeah, that's the ongoing rate, I guess.
Yeah, there's a concerted effort to make nothing work properly on the plane. I've noticed. You think with all the minds and all the people on the plane, that everyone got their shit together and tightened their belts, as you say, that they could make things work properly, but they just don't bother. Make it.
Are you describing first world problems? So this scenario where, you know, no, a guy's never had Wi-Fi, and he gets Wi-Fi, and suddenly he's got internet on his mobile device, and it's like, this is amazing. I feel like a god. This is the best thing. Oh, it's dropped. This is an outrage. Get me my solicitor.
Bit like that, yeah. But no, not really.
No, what I kind of get from it is that, especially when they start putting dates on stuff, You're like, well, what the hell? Why are you putting on this date on, we want a starship that can fly to Mars and back and, contain people. And, they're making it sound like they want to get off this planet and make it kind of disposable. So they're like, well, how long can we get out of, it's like before I mail or, sell my house, I'd be like, I don't need to fix this right now. I wonder how many more weeks I can get out of it. And that's why you got all these things that are just being overlooked, because you're right, Martin. They could fix world hunger tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Easy.
I used to wonder about that aspect. I used to think, they keep telling us how thin the blue layer of atmosphere is. Why the hell are they shitting it up as quick as they can then? Oh dear, they must be, this is just insanity of just an insane level. But then, now I know it's a flat plane, it could be expansive, it makes sense. But if they know, then that would make sense why they're not worried about chucking up as much pollution. You ever seen the Rouen? Oh my God, the shock, horror of what they do in the industrial regions of the era. Blows your mind. It's all I like.
Yeah, it's insane. But I really get the feeling that if there's a day and they're a controlled organization, which I lend some credence to, that they made their exit strategy. They're just setting it in motion. And it's a throwaway planet. Everyone else gets stuck with it. So yeah, I don't think they care about that stuff.
You don't?
No, I don't think they care about pollution. I think that was a shell game for financial shenanigans. I don't think it's anything else.
Okay, fair enough. Maybe.
What do you mean? I was just away. What do you mean, Spec? That pollution is what?
Oh, I don't think it's that. I think that is their poster child for more dubious money laundering type stuff. You know what I mean? It's like the student loans here in America. You know what I mean? If you understand how the banking system works, that basically every time you put money in the bank, and as soon as they loan it out, you've doubled that dollar, right? Like there's more dollars out there at that point, because it's still on your register, and now it's on this dude's register, and it's also on the bank's register. So yeah, if you have loans, if you have a stock market, well, then you can shift around money that doesn't exist, and you can pay people money that doesn't exist as well.
Yeah.
And so who gets to pay it is the American or whatever country, if they have these same financial institutions, is that the stock market crashes. That's my money. That's not the government's money. That's not the corporation's money. You know what I mean? And same with student loans and mortgages. That's why the mortgage crisis happened here, is because I think it was one of the studies I saw. It said that if every American emptied out their savings account, just their savings account, by 3%, regardless of whether you had 100,000 in there or $5 in there, it would throw off all the ledgers, and you would go into a Great Depression.
Yeah. Yeah, and that there's only 3% real money in circulation. If everyone paid their if all debts were, yeah.
Well, that's the thing. There's a good video called "Money as Debt," and it explains. There's others too, but they explain how fiat currency works. Is money literally from the air? They used to have, fractional reserve banking is kind of goes as part of fiat currency, but it's not equated with it. Fractional reserve is the leverage where you have 3% money and you can loan out the other 97% as invented money. Well, where does it come from? It's conjured into existence by taking out a loan. That's why money is debt. That's why we have a debt economy. So they only make money and create it out of thin air when somebody takes out a loan. And so you pay it back with interest. Well, where does the interest come from? You can't possibly pay it back. And so debt is a death spiral. It just keeps going and going, and it must balloon, and it must always expand. That's why they push consumerism, because you must keep spending more and borrowing more, and it will keep feeding on itself like that. And a lot of people don't know, at least in the U.S., we had the Act of 1871 was the creation of D.C. 1903 was the creation of the Fed. And with the stroke of a pen, they robbed the entire United States, took away money making from the government, gave it to the international bankers, the Fed, who loans it back to us at interest, and all our income tax goes to service that debt. It goes for nothing in infrastructure. Everything else we pay for comes from commerce, sales tax, tariffs, and all that sort of thing. And so we are paying interest with our labor with what amounts to game token money to people who robbed us all generations ago. And it's such a giant scam. We're owed trillions of dollars. We don't owe trillions of dollars.
No, I was just thinking of the carbon tax thing. It's just so interesting how the whole global warming thing has. We'll just solve the problem by carbon tax. No, it doesn't solve anything. If there was a problem to solve, I do believe that pollution is not good for anyone. Not good for the earth, not good for people. But that they leave out a small detail. Oh, by the way, guys, you exhale CO2, and they go to the lengths that even in the movie The Martian, when after the explosion he has in the little greenhouse he has, and he's sitting there talking to himself, reasoning, why did it explode? Oh, it must have been all the oxygen I've been exhaling. Even there, they go to hide that humans exhale carbon dioxide. It's incredible, because you don't want to. Oh, you really want depopulation. You really you don't want to, but you don't want to tell people that that's why we're taxing you. It's because you breathe.
I think nobody picked up on that in the cinemas or the videos. That's incredible.
No, and I only picked up on it the second time I saw it, I think. I was sitting at a friend's house and say, hey, do you know this? And let's go and look at it. You listen to what he says, because my friend didn't really quite believe me or something. So we went and then I made a little video of it, but he has it on his channel, where I just took the clip where he says it. So I'm gonna have to get that from his channel and put it on or make another channel maybe.
No, it's funny how much of that stuff we miss.
Yeah, I mean, it's so subtle because it just because they rely on people's ignorance.
Yeah, I got one for you that I found a long time ago when I was a kid, but whenever they would show like these protests in these other countries and stuff, I'm like, why are all their signs in English? Right? Aren't they protesting their own government? Shouldn't that be in their standard language?
Yeah.
It's really bizarre.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to leave you guys to it. It's been a real pleasure, Martin. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
Yeah, I
Thank
will
you very
too.
much, Nathan.
Thanks,
Are
Nathan.
you rounding things up, Martin?
Yeah, I am shortly. Yeah, it's 2:10. I've been on a while now, haven't I? Yeah, true. I will do.
And
All
now
right.
your microphone works.
Yes.
Finally, yeah. Great hangout.
Yeah, it was good fun. Really good fun.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Nice, relaxing, chill. No stress. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Lots of good topics.
Thanks, Paula. Yeah, lots covered.
Yeah.
Without me doing much at all. Wonderful.
I'll show my face before I go.
You're going to say a little bit to your audience, Martin, to round out?
Bye.
Yeah, don't do anything I wouldn't do, guys. I'm hanging. It's 2 a.m. Up since early. That's why I'm like this. Never mind.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone, for coming. Thanks, everyone in chat.
Yes.
Shout to everyone. One big shout to everyone.
Yeah, lovely
in chat.
people in chat. Hi, everyone.
Everyone's there. Thanks, Ben. Thanks, Jordy. Also, Georgie. Yes.
Thanks for watching. The Earth is flat.
We're not spinning.
Thanks for having me.
Okay.
Yeah, cheers. Thanks, mate.
Cheers.
Thanks, Brian. Cheers, guys. See you later, alligators.